Good morning. If Athleisure was a radio show, this would be that radio show. Bo Bishop, a dignified man of leisure.
My wife will try and drag me to like an Easter brunch buffet, and I don't even like that because I don't like everybody standing over food I'm going to eat.
Friends with the highest intellectuals.
We found out the hard way. We have white furniture. That's all I'll say. Oh, God. Holy
Literally.
An athlete, coach, husband, and father.
That drives me nuts. My kids say, I'm him. Shut up. Kidding me? You're 9. You're not him. I don't even know what the hell that means.
And 2 guys who are considerable downgrades from a former football player.
They always thought that they were the friends, and I always thought that the guests were the friends.
No, it's the listeners.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
So funny. We don't need a former player. Hey, you know what? What if you're both? What if you're a friend and a former player? I'm still a friend. You can keep Bishop and Friends. I am still a friend.
All right, let's do it live on a Friday edition of the program. Bo the Boys with you for the next 3. Bake going to stop by at 9:45. High school football is on. We had some games last night, and then the full slate of games under the Friday night lights happened tonight. Bake will give us a little preview of the Central Ohio teams and players that we need to pay attention to on that. Coming up at 9:33, Ryan Day. A week from now at this time, you're going to be hitting the bells, kids. I mean, that's where we're at with this thing. It crept up, and now here we are with football season. It is week 0. We will continue 2 days in the NFC North. We are doing the Lions and
the Packers.
Yes. I said relatively confidently. We will see what we learned this week as well. Doug coming up at 11:33 as is customary. I did want to start with some high school football out of the gates, and we hit on this yesterday, and I've talked to various people in various places over the last 24 hours or so, and hit on that. Feeling pretty confident the last communal thing that we have, or one of the last communal things we have, is high school football on a Friday night. It's one of those things that wherever small town you're in, or whatever suburb you're in, or whatever city you're in, that your community kind of comes together under a Friday night, and you do the especially week 1. I mean, you get the tailgating, the weather's going to be great, and you're going to see kind of the whole community in those places. And I think back so fondly on my television career, getting the chance to cover Friday Night Lights in 3 completely different, unique places. In Montana, when I first got into television, obviously I grew up there, but when I first got into television in Montana, we would oftentimes drive. We would try to get every game in the area, and it's one of the things you do in local television. And I would drive. I remember, for example, one time driving an hour and 20 minutes to get the first quarter of a game, and hitting 2 more on the way back, and driving 110 miles an hour in a Mercury Sable from Q2 News to try to get back in time for the 10 o'clock news. And there were players that were so critical to those moments, and you would see these lights, much like in Friday Night Lights, because Eastern Montana, I was in Billings, Montana at the time, and Eastern Montana is relatively flat. So you would see the lights in the distance, just because it's pancake flat. You just see the lights in the distance, and you'd navigate your way up there and go to the games, and the whole damn town would be there. And that's what it was like where I grew up, is small town, rural. And when we played road games, we didn't have lights. And none of the teams that we played had lights. So all of our games were Saturday at 1. But on Saturday at 1, the whole town would go to wherever we played. From there, I went to Tallahassee, where I covered North Florida and South Georgia. And let's just say the difference between the talent in Montana and the talent there was as big of a gap as you could be. It went from maybe one Division I player in the state of Montana a year who would play at like Washington or Washington State. One kid would go to Oregon State, something like that, to a Tallahassee Lincoln team that had 11 kids sign D1 scholarships one year that I was there. And the worst school that anybody went to was Clemson. So the talent was just insane. I've often told the story, the best high school football player I ever saw play in person was a kid named Ernie Sims, who played varsity at North Florida Christian as a 8th grader and won state MVP as an 8th grader in the state of Florida, and was a 4-time state champion. He ended up being the number 1 recruit in the country his senior year. I think he was the USA Today National Player of the Year in high school. I'm pretty sure he was the consensus number 1 player in the country. He was so damn good that Auburn, Georgia, and Florida State, which are his final 3, all offered to unretire number 34 so that he could wear it, because that's the number that he wore, was 34. So that's Ron Sellers at Florida State, not too big of an ask. At Auburn, it's a guy named Bo Jackson. At Georgia, it's a guy named Herschel Walker. So that's how good Ernie Sims was as a high school player. He went on to Florida State, played 3 years, was an All-American, first-round pick of the Lions, and had kind of a bounce-around NFL career. I think he played with Bob, maybe even with the Cowboys at one point. Was a heat-seeking missile. Like, it just was – and as a high school player, it was – even amongst greats, he stood out. Then you come here, and you see what it means here. And Ohio is much like Georgia and much like Texas in terms of what it means on a Friday night to play under the lights. And you're wearing your Elk Pride Never Dies t-shirt there. And Reese talked about his UA experience as well. And both of those places are iconic places. The best player I ever saw play high school football around here, I was thinking about this morning. I think it's one of those things kind of like when you look back on college teams, and the easy thing to say would be Joe Burrow. But there wasn't anybody who watched Joe Burrow play in high school that thought Joe Burrow would be Joe Burrow. There just was not that. He was really damn good, but you had no thought that he would be the number one pick in the NFL draft one day, or that he would quarterback in a Super Bowl. There was no thought that he could turn into that type of player. The two that I kind of kept coming back to in terms of just separated from others, and so my last year at Channel 10 was 2000, so that would have been the 2014 football season. I was done in 2015, right before football season started. The two that jumped out to me were Joshua Perry was just unbelievable at Olentangy, and he jumped out and jumped off the screen. Every time you'd go to a game and you'd see him play, he was like, well, he's built different than the others that he was playing with. He's the one that jumps out to me. And then the one that really came to mind first, even with all due respect to Joshua, was Le'Veon Bell at Groveport. Le'Veon Bell was nuts his senior year at Groveport, like just ridiculous, and stood out, man amongst boys. But there's a billion of them, of guys that you can remember. You roll into Pick Central and you see all of the talent that's out there. Pick North's had some crazy teams through the years. And I think about Bo DeLandy at Davidson winning a state championship playing option football.
Running the ball
Brian
50 times a game.
Yeah, just run it, man.
Those were the most fun.
Crazy.
UA wanted to be rivals with Davidson, but at the time, so this was like 06 through 09, yeah. Davidson was just so much better and so much more physical. But as someone who warmed the benches regularly, I love playing Hilliard because you were done. The game kicked at 7:30. You were done by 8.
Was Hilliard? Were they not very good?
Oh, and Hilliard.
No, they won state championship.
I think they won it twice between 06 and 09.
Centerville ran the triple too, and yeah, the games would go by fast, but they were good at it. It's a way to kind of close a talent gap if you don't have it.
Well, it is. And so what Brian White did at Davidson was run the triple option
in shorts.
And in shorts, always. The crazy thing about them was that was before there were all the Hilliard schools. At that time,
okay.
I think it was only Darby and Davidson, right, Reese?
Yeah, now there's a Bradley.
Yeah. So they even had it was more talent condensed at that point. But yeah, they ran the triple option, and it was like there was no stopping it. And to win a state championship with that way, where you didn't have a bunch of college, they didn't have a bunch of 5-star guys. It didn't happen. They didn't have any, I don't think.
They populated the rosters of like Wittenberg and Oberlin.
Yeah.
And
right. Yeah.
Nothing against those schools, but that was the talent. That's where they would go. That's where some of those players went.
All right. Best high school football player you ever saw in person. Go ahead, Chops.
I will say the best I ever played against, because this was in practice, was Michael Bennett. That was a full day. Anytime you had to go against him, either holding a bag or just actually like lining up on like scout team. So that was rough. But in person, it's Braxton. I got to see Braxton all 4 years. He was at Wayne, and we played him twice his senior year, my junior year. I called both of those games. ESPN was in town broadcasting the game for the one that was in the regular season at Centerville. They trounced us. Then in the playoffs, Centerville looked like they were going to win. It goes to overtime. Braxton Miller, overtime rules in high school. No chance. He's going to score every single time you line him up at the 25. So that's how that went. And the Elks didn't get to go on. But they would have won that game had there not been a phantom whistle when Chris Barr was going to get a first down. But instead there's a whistle. Everybody stopped and kind of looked around. The refs literally, I swear to God, the refs shrugged. Just said, I don't know. We didn't blow it. And then everybody just jumped on Chris Barr, tackled him, and then the Elks had to punt. Wayne goes down the field, scores, ties it up, and then it's overtime, and the rest is history.
Not that it wasn't a crystallized memory in your head or anything.
No,
that's the thing about high school football.
Not that it haunts you to this day.
Not that, right? I mean, that's the thing about high school football. Like, it's cliche because people reliving their high school experience. It's like the lowest form of conversation. But the reason that it's done so often is because it's also really fun, and it's a truly transformative time in your life. And if you are someone who played, or even if you're someone who was around it or rooted, or you're in a place where it means so much, some of your best memories likely come from that. Reese, for you, best you ever played?
I think right now you got to call him Dr. Jeff Backus. He was Mr. Ohio football in 2000 at Upper Arlington. He was incredible.
Yeah. There are people who stand out. Rich on social that, Ebner did play at Davidson. Nate Ebner, who played for the Bucks, obviously, and then ended up with the Patriots, won some Super Bowls, and was like one of the best rugby players of all time.
So he's so good at rugby.
Too. Yeah, right.
Tell you what, the fundamentals of those kids at Davidson were solid.
It's the most impressive thing that I've ever seen, in the sense of they were really like, they did not have the talent, but they had talent. I mean, like Ebner played there. He's a pro, right? And DeLandy was really good. He played at Ohio State, was on the team, rather. But I think the thing that separated was the execution. I mean, it was really like the Navy Academy.
You guys are just describing my high school experience with the
That's basically, yeah, but you guys had the talent. Like, you guys had A.J. Hawk, and you had like all these guys.
There was probably more talent, yeah.
More talent at Centerville than there aren't many left who run that way. There's a team in Northeast Ohio that wants win some state championships. Chardon, they still run the triple option.
Yeah, Centerville doesn't do it anymore.
I don't know that there are many left that do it.
That 06 Davidson state title team, I don't think any of them went D1. If anybody did, it would have been group of 5 in terms of their college ball. Whereas Centerville, you got guys with names that are going to Big Boy U.
Right. I think my junior year, 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen played D1. So
one of my favorite things, and I never realized it, so you have the Elk Pride Never Dies shirt on, that helmet. So it starts blank, right?
Yes, and you get they're called hitter stripes, but there's also there's accumulation, and then there's highlight plays, and maybe they don't do the hitting ones anymore because of how the mentality around that in football has changed. And figured out something, but yeah, you would get them, and then they would have to come in pairs because it would always be symmetrical, so it goes on both sides of the helmet, and you build off it, and then it goes off into tongues, and then nobody ever gets to the diamonds, but the best players will get a few diamonds on the end of each tongue as the season goes on. So a player like Michael Bennett and A.J. Hawk, those guys end up with a completely almost gold helmet by the end of the year.
So back when I was doing the high school football stuff, I didn't see Centerville until the end of the year. So until I heard from you or Beam, I just assumed that it started that way and that they were just elk antlers.
Okay. It was like the winged helmet for them. Yeah.
I had no idea that it started blank and then you had to earn them because I never saw Centerville games early.
I remember we used to have crazy coaches who there'd be a big hit on Friday night, and mostly Coach Bell, he'd run out on the field and go, "Stripes! Stripes," and he'd throw his hands above his head.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was also the fast trigger finger on the 40s, and he would call it 4-2, and it was no, I don't think so. I don't think that guy just ran 4-2.
Wow. No, probably not. Quiz telling me that Darby, Lancaster, and Marysville all still run triple option around here, but there's not many of them out there that still do. Vance with a pretty good one. This is a great tweet from Vance on social. I was 10 years old when Randy Moss and Jason Williams were seniors at DuPont. I used to make my dad take me to their games. I didn't even go to that district. Yeah, there's those type of things. There's another guy from Blog Pound, Dog Pound guy, Cleveland guy on social. Fred Taylor saw him play against Riddell Anthony. The two of them were unstoppable. Todd Gurley, somebody dropping a Todd Gurley. Some of these guys were just, Tyner with Matty Mock. Matty Mock could throw for 500 yards a game.
Yeah, there's a guy in here who said Ben Mock. So that family was just crazy. And Matty Mock ended up at Arkansas or
Missouri, I think.
Missouri, yeah, he was somewhere that was,
But they threw it every time. I mean, that was the whole operation. We'll continue to have some fun with the high school football stuff as the program goes along. Deion Sanders did what? He did what at Colorado? We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Death taxes, and beating Michigan every damn year. This is your flagship home for Ohio State football. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Erectile dysfunction is a destroyer of your confidence, of your joy and intimacy, and often it can even harm your relationship. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, the leading men's sexual health practice in our area for treating erectile dysfunction. And I want you to know today that if you're like most men, you can be free of ED and all the impacts it has on your life. At Tri-State Men's Health, we're your local provider for dealing with men's sexual health issues. Our expert medical teams are focused on treating ED, and we have highly effective treatment plans with some protocols that work in well over 90% of cases. We can even combine treatments for greater efficacy, all of which means it's very likely you'll be having great sex again within just a day or two of your first appointment. You might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 2 convenient locations, just off 270 in Hilliard and near the Medical Mile in Westerville.
With Tire Discounter's new TD Chat BS, we can detect deception over the phone. Let's call a typical tire store.
Yellow, cheapo tire where we bolt them on for less.
Yes, I need tires and lubricant for my vehicle.
Great, come on in, we'll slap on some new tires.
And what about the lubricant exchange?
Oh yeah, we send you over to Ollie's Oil for that. They're right down the road.
Deception. Destination is 5.2 miles away.
Well, I'll be.
Also, 6 out of 10 cars need alignment.
Well, just travel on over to Alignments or Us.
Calculating time for 2 additional trips.
You mean you want to do tires, oil change, and alignment all in one fell swoop?
Oh, I observe that Tire Discounters, the home of free alignment, is close by.
Ugh, Tire Discounters.
And they are experts at oil changes, brakes, shocks, and...
I'm losing you.
Hello? I'm sorry. Your system has crashed.
Don't miss our Savor the Summer sale, now till Labor Day.
Attention weekend warriors. Fan Sports Saturday has moved to 10 a.m. Join Eric Reeser and Tyvis Powell as they dive into popular topics like the Buckeyes and Tyvis's liquid diet.
Saturdays from 10 to 1.
The Fan.
At AAA, it's our policy to look on the plus side, and AAA Plus members tend to take the same view. Take Martin. Last Monday, his coffee surprised him with an extra 10 degrees of Fahrenheit. It was just the jolt of energy he needed. Later, when he walked into a door, he was happy to provide entertainment for his coworkers.
I'm okay.
And when his car battery took early retirement, he knew expert roadside assistance was only a call away.
Hello, AAA.
Become a AAA Plus member and experience peace of mind on the plus side. Towing is subject to a 7-day waiting period. Terms and conditions apply.
Coming this Labor Day weekend, Bob's biggest challenge yet. It's time to dare to compare. It's got action. It's got suspense. It's got beeps and boops and dings and whomps and more savings than you'll believe on living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, mattresses, and more. And best of all, you get to play too this Labor Day weekend. Now open in Reynoldsburg and coming soon to Polaris. See how much you can save this Labor Day weekend when you dare to compare at a Bob's near you.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
Throughout my 3-decade-long career in public education, this time of year has always been one of my favorites. The start of every new school year brings so much promise and potential, and the opportunity to once again inspire a new generation of leaders to dream big and reach their potential. That's why public education matters.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking at lots of sunshine today. A few passing clouds will be all the skies have to offer. Temperatures up to around the mid-70s for lunch. Will be in the mid-80s for the afternoon. We'll see more clear weather tonight. Temperature falling down to around the 60-degree mark. Some upper 50s. We're up near 90 for Saturday. Mostly sunny and into the 90s by Sunday. 90s continue through most of next week. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
Friday nights mean high school football in Ohio. The Fan Game of the Week kicks off tonight at 7. Harvest Prep, Pick Central. After the game, it is the Byers Dublin Subaru overtime with Bake and Lee Cochran. High school football is back on the Fan. Bake's going to give us a preview of that coming up here at 9:45 in terms of the teams and players to watch. Want to get to this Deion Sanders thing, but yes, as Reese points out, Kevin sent me a picture. This is pretty great. I retweeted it. He was an 8th grader playing against St. Vincent St. Mary. The photo is legendary in the Licking Valley area. A decent football player named LeBron James getting hit. Yeah, LeBron James is a football player. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I hear that from, people, that he's sometimes, by some people's account, the best high school football player they've ever seen. Yeah, for sure.
Well, what would you do with him?
I don't know.
I mean, he's the best. He's the most physically impressive athlete any of us have ever seen in person. He's 6'8", 240 and runs like he's 6'2".
And that's the thing. You also how fast truly is LeBron? How often does he get at full speed on a basketball court? We very rarely see it.
No.
And so if
when he does, to me, he would be like one of those guys who, I don't know what his 40 would be, but I don't think anybody would ever catch him.
Like a DK Metcalf type deal, where it just, he's just gone.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what he runs, but it's I'm pretty sure you're not going to catch him. Yeah.
And if you do, good luck.
No, not at all. So one of the guys that you always hear from Northeast Ohio is Robert Smith. Like, if you're old enough, you always hear Robert Smith as kind of a guy who just defied logic as a high school player. It's legendary how great he was. Some Chris Stark Carter stuff too in Middletown. There's a little bit of that's out there. I'm trying to think, there was a Central Ohio, it was Kajana Carter.
A few people in the YouTube chat mentioned him, yeah.
Kajana Carter was ridiculous. Westerville South, I believe, is where he played back in the 90s. It's pretty wild now that I think of it, because I'm pretty sure Curtis Enos is an Ohio guy, too. So Penn State's 2 best backs maybe 2 of their 5 best backs ever are both Ohioans.
Besides you, who are the legendary football players from your high school?
I mean, we largely sucked. I was commenting to you guys about the fact that you went to UA and you went to Centerville.
Yeah.
You guys have this legendary stuff. There isn't. I mean, my brother ended up being great. He was 2 years younger than me, but we didn't have a winning season in football until I think my freshman year. And then we kind of started to win a little bit, and then we were one of the first teams to run the spread, and so we kind of surprised some people.
Mm-hmm.
But there really wasn't. And now my school doesn't exist. It's gone. The population has moved out, and so the football team is combined with 2 teams that used to be our biggest rivals.
That happened in my dad's hometown.
Sucks.
Too. Yeah.
Sucks. You lose. I'm telling you, folks, and I fight like hell for your football teams, because football teams keep schools alive keep towns alive. So if you're in a rural area listening and people are talking about getting rid of football or whatever, and by the way, I think the OHSAA should look into 8-man football too. I mean, you shouldn't have to play 11-man football if you've got 20 boys in the high school who want to play. I mean, there are small schools in the state. You should offer an 8-man football option. They should. It's great.
And it's actually in some of those lower population Midwest states, I know 8-man football is a growing trend.
It is.
Amongst a lot of those smaller schools.
In Montana, there's 8-man and 6-man football. There's both to make sure that that everybody can play. And you have to have it. Otherwise, you lose community. You lose the sense of it. Deion Sanders' sense of community extends all the way to the Middle East, apparently. There was a special teams coordinator named Trevor Riley who resigned in August, and he went on the record about trying to fund the school's NIL collective. And I've talked to you about this before. Colorado does not have funding. They don't have big money boosters. That's not what it's about. It's a really good school. It's a beautiful place. It's all those things. But money has never been something that they had in bunches. And so I was always dubious the idea that he would stick around there for a long time, other than the obvious, but also from the standpoint of continually getting players and getting them money was always going to be a problem. Well, Riley said that Deion knew this and said, well, you know what? I know there's a place with a lot of money, and it's the Middle East. So they sent Riley over to Saudi Arabia to lobby the PIF for name, image, and likeness funding on behalf of Colorado football. And the quote that he gives in the resignation letter The arrangement was that because I did all the NIL work at Jackson, got us through, you guys would pay me a modest salary, make me the special teams coordinator, which have freed up time for me to handle NIL activities. They paid him $90,000 a year. You let me handle special teams. I did all this work in your name. I was told to pursue it. It burned through all my contracts and my contacts, my Mormon community, which is worth about $3 trillion. Now I can't get these people to answer my calls because I found out today that none of my endeavors will happen. I even went to Saudi Arabia and got a meeting with the Saudis who are interested in pursuing business. I have email receipts to prove it. You guys let it fall flat on its face. What in the hell is going on at Colorado?
That's wild stuff. And, is this letting the cat out of the bag that they hire coaches under false pretenses and just give them titles and say, you can be special teams coordinator, but you can go do whatever you want. You're in charge of NIL. Or does it call into question, because this is the problem when you do stuff like this, it calls into question the validity of all special teams coordinators. In my mind, too, to say, hey, wait, does that guy do anything, or is he actually doing something else for you? And you just give him special teams coordinator so he can go off and, in this case, have meetings with the PIF fund of Saudi Arabia. But, yeah, it's really messy and really dirty. But the article does correctly point out, had they done it, then that would have been a really weird world changer of college football in a sport that has already seen a lot of world-changing things. But this would be a whole nother monster if all of a sudden Colorado had access to the PIF and nobody else did.
They had an exclusive rights to the PIF.
Can you imagine, some of the Saudi royal family just in Boulder to watch a game? Just trying to see what their investment looks like. Yeah.
Just a Live logo on the back of the helmet. No, Reese, I can't imagine them flying because they have those giant 777s that they fly over, those Airbuses that are there landing in Boulder
that
on
in Folsom,
airstrip,
yeah.
And then going out and going to a game. What did we get out of this? Jeez. Here's the crazy thing with NIL though, it's actually pretty smart because no one's asking where the money's come from. They just need the money. It is an up at dawn siege to get money it's happening here. It happens everywhere, and we're big state U, but it's happening here. It is an up at dawn siege. Can you give us more? I need 800,000 by 2 weeks from now. It's constant. You heard, why am I blanking? The old boy at Oklahoma State saying, "I'm sick of kids asking me for money."
Gundy.
Mm-hmm. Gundy, I'm done with it.
The next day they announced that they're putting the NIL QR code on the helmets. It's well, which is it? Guess it's both. You're tired of it, but you have to do it.
Pretty smart to do that, right? To do that, because now you can. If you like a kid's play, you can QR code, send him $50. I mean, we used to
It's a hell of a helmet sticker. To Chops' earlier point about Centerville.
Stick it on there. I mean, just think we were in an era where we were all worried. Oh, they're doing $50 handshakes. Now they're doing QR code direct payment. Way you go. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. The Buckeyes going to benefit from it a lot, and this roster's loaded. A week from now, we'll be doing a Football Friday. Ryan Day preparing to take – how much prep? I can't even sell it. They're playing Akron. What are we doing? But you'll hear from Ryan Day a week out from the opener coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If your idea of the perfect radio show is all Buckeyes all the time, then it's your lucky day, Slappy. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan.
You know that project you've been working on? Just chipping away at it, dreaming of the day you get to show it off? Then, when you're least expecting it, cancer. And finishing that project actually happens. I would know. I've been restoring this car for years, and today I'm giving it to my granddaughter. It's her 16th birthday and 2 years since my cancer diagnosis.
Mom, you finished it?
Happy birthday, boo-boo. You keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keepmakingplans to learn more.
Wendy's new Saucy Nugs come in 7 saucy flavors. Yep, you can literally hear your taste buds going. Taste bud sounds may vary. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location.
Mega Millions! The Ohio Lottery Mega Millions jackpot is up to $527 million. So I'm shouting it from my rooftop. Go play Mega Millions today. Then help me get down. And don't miss out on the excitement of Keno with 300 draws every day. Pick your numbers. Pick your wagers. Keno is always fun. Your way.
Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
It's the summer sell down at Performance. Get up to $16,000 off MSRP on new 24 Jeep Wranglers and Grand Cherokees during the Make This the Summer of Jeep event. Performance Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, Georgesville and Delaware.
Not valid on previous sales. Cannot combine offers. Must take delivery from dealer stock 8/20 to 8/31/24.
One thing about us parents, we think we know what's in, but we're usually way off. That's why I take my kids to Great Clips for back-to-school haircuts. From fresh fades to beachy waves, they can use the online lookbook to find the cuts they want at prices I can't resist. Plus, with convenient online check-in, we save tons of time, too. I may never know what's cool again, but hey, with back-to-school haircuts at Great Clips, I don't have to. Download the app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
It's time for Cleveland Browns preseason football, baby. Catch the Brownies and Seahawks live from Space Needle Town. They have a Tyvus Powell statue.
Live coverage starts Saturday night at 8.
Your home for Browns football. The Fan.
That's the sound of sweat falling drip by miserable drip, because your AC has decided to call it quits in this heat. But the Waterworks Heating and Cooling team never quits, so no sweat. The Waterworks offers same-day AC service to help you keep your cool this summer, and that sounds amazing. Call the Waterworks Heating and Cooling team, 614-333-9720, or schedule service on our website. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better AC.
Why sell your car at WeBuyAnyCar.com? Because when you trade in, you're dealing with a dealer. And sure, they're interested in a good deal. For them, not for you. Come to WeBuyAnyCar.com instead. All we do is buy cars. You get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price. So don't take chances with a trade-in. Go to WeBuyAnyCar.com for a free online valuation.
Find out how much your car's worth at WeBuyAnyCar.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 2 restaurant locations in Grandview and Gahanna. Drink local, drink High Bank.
1 week from now, we'll be getting you set for the Buckeyes and the opener against Akron. Going to be fascinating how Ryan Day handles this first month of the season. Obviously, just the 3 games, just an odd bye week in there as well, and just overwhelming favorites. Are they going to be 50-point favorites in every game? Probably not Marshall. Marshall will probably be, I guess, is there even a Marshall line yet? But obviously, you're 50 against Akron. Western Michigan, you got to be 52, right? Got to be. It's got to be that big.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there are any lines for any of the future games there. Right now, it's 50.5 with a total of 58.5. So that tells you what they think of Akron's scoring chances.
Beamsy said he wouldn't take it. He goes, he couldn't believe that it was 50.5. And he goes, I'd take the under, Dad. And I said, God, I'm raising him right. It's fantastic.
Yeah, because Marshall, we got that bye week in there, like you said. So that's still a few weeks out. I don't even see one for Western Michigan yet either. So,
yeah. All right. Either way, it is the end of training camp, and so next week they will go into game week. But it really is a month-long preseason for the Buckeyes before the Iowa game, and then a big time. I think Iowa's going to be a real test. I mean, they're going to punch you in the mouth. They're not going to be able to keep up offensively, but defensively, they're mustard. And then, of course, you got Oregon. So that's what this is all kind of pointing towards is that part of the schedule. Camp is done. Here are Ryan Day's thoughts on the offseason and camp.
Coming out of preseason, you want to have, some of your questions answered for sure. You want to have them all answered. You make assumptions, based on what you see in preseason, and then once you get into the season, you figure out what those things are, and the ones that are accurate, you keep it enhancing. The ones you don't, you just, you got to address, and I think that's, what we got to get done here as we head into the first couple games of the season. I think we had an opportunity to build some depth at certain positions, which is important as You said, what is this season going to look like? That was one area that we knew we had to build in the offseason. We felt like we did that in terms of, the talent acquisition and the roster. But you also have to go on the field now, put it on the field, and work on the techniques and the fundamentals that we have to go put on the field. Learn the scheme in all three phases, which started back in the spring. But we'll find out here once we get going. But yet to be seen, but I feel like in this preseason there's been an edge to our team. I feel like we've been consistent. I think it's been back and forth, offense and defense, which is usually a good sign. So we'll keep grinding on this thing. We got a mock game going on Saturday in the stadium, and then come up for air on Sunday and start game planning for Akron.
That last line's funny. Look, we were at practices. A lot of people have seen the scrimmages. The one thing that really jumped out to me and to others that I've talked to who have seen a lot more even than we've been able to see is that this is the iron sharpens iron of this is pretty wild. And put yourself in Will Howard's shoes. You have been trying to throw against that secondary, which might be the best secondary in the country. You've been trying to throw against that all camp. So think about, like, for example, on Saturday, he threw one right on the screws in traffic on the screws to Emeka. Okay, how open is Emeka going to be next Saturday compared to how open he was last Saturday? Or this simulation game they're going to do in the shoe. How wide open is Jeremiah Smith going to be on a go in 3 weeks against Western Michigan versus how open he is going against Denzel Burke or Igbinosun? I mean, just think about the difference in the windows. I mean, it's going to be... it's going to be nuts for him, for Howard and the offense to be able to see that. Conversely, it'll be the same for the defense. It's going to be overwhelming up front. I did want to hear from Ryan on Will. And now that it's, a week or so into this, 8 days into Will being the starter and kind of what he brings to the offense. Here's Ryan Day on that.
I see a bunch of traits there. I think the first trait is size. He's big. He can stand in the pocket, and he's strong. So, I mean, that's the first thing you notice about him. Again, whether it's standing in the pocket with poise, I think that's another trait that he has that's excellent. He feels the rush, but he stands right in there. I think the next trait is just, his top-end speed. I mean, he can run 22 miles an hour at that size, which there's not a lot of guys who can do that. So I think that's an extraordinary trait. And I would say his overall leadership, command in the huddle is another, something that he's really, grown into in the last few months when he's been here. And then his accuracy. He's been very accurate since he's been here. And when he knows what's going on and he can anticipate what's happening, I mean, it looks right. You just feel it. And he can hurt you, a bunch of different ways. So, his ceiling, that's going to be kind of, up to how he plays this season. But, I see a player who has a lot of great skills that, translates well to the next level. So, we'll see. But I know his first focus is on winning games around here.
Do you guys think, is it a safe bet to say Will Howard runs 22 miles an hour is going to be this football season's version of, did you know Aaron Kraft played high school football?
I think, we're going to hear that a lot. That's going to be the popular sideline reporter, first quarter chime in for the Buckeyes. And we get that every year. There's always a little storyline. I can't even remember. How many times did we see, did you know Dwayne Haskins went on a tour of Ohio State's locker room when he was a kid?
He was little,
we saw that literally every single game.
Should we shrink the miles per hour number every week and see if that gets any traction? I heard he ran 20, or no, we grow it. That's
grow it, yeah.
I heard 23.5 miles per hour. Wow.
Will Howard was clocked at 37 miles an hour.
Did you hear about that? Nobody's talking about this.
See
how far
you can push the number with people still thinking it's impressive.
All of a sudden, he's as fast as a cheetah.
The best example of that, and Reese knows this because you would have probably been up there at this time, was when the Cavaliers won the NBA championship. Anthony Lima, who's a Buckeye and hosts a morning show up there, he said confirmed 1.3 million people at the parade, right? He just made it
confirmed.
He just made it up. And everybody ran with it. In fact, most of you out there listening, probably if you think back to that, you think, oh yeah, they had 1.3 million there. Just wait till the Browns parade. There's going to be 70 million. But the reality is he just made it up. Because how could you prove it one way or another? I don't know. A lot of people. I don't know.
There's not a turnstile that's counting.
No, you're not
coming
tracking them.
Downtown Cleveland.
Got guys at the corners with clickers. Like, all right, what do you got?
But I wanted to comment on your the iron sharpens iron in the Buckeye camp
ahead.
because especially if you look at a lot of this schedule, like we've talked about, there are definitely games there. Oregon, Michigan, probably Penn State. That is like talent, but for the most part, they don't see that very often. And this is actually probably where they improve the most throughout the year. And it's hard for us to, I think, sometimes contextualize that because Ohio State players come in as such highly touted recruits. Yeah. That, no, they still have to improve into the best version of a college player that they can. And most of that work, I think, is done there. And I think the offensive line, based on what I've heard from them, even though they've had that sickness that's kind of gone through and limited some guys, is that not only are they figuring it out, but they're figuring it out and taking some time because a lot of the guys have improved along with each other, especially going up against this defensive front for the Buckeyes in practice every day. And so I actually feel more confident at this point, even though they haven't officially announced the 5 starters on offensive line, than I did at the beginning of training camp.
I think you're going to be good. You can be really good up front. I think that's going to be fine. I don't think that there's anything. The other thing you have to remember about the offensive line is you now not only have, think of the last couple of years, how many times you didn't even have Travion. Think about what we were having to do at running back the last couple of years. Think about Dallin Hayden having to run a lot, or
Xavier Johnson sliding over.
Yeah, Xavier Johnson.
Mayan Williams.
Mayan Williams. Who's the kid at Kentucky that just got hurt?
Chip Trainum.
Now you have Judkins and Henderson and Will Howard, who runs 24 miles an hour. So you have all of those guys
That's fast.
In the backfield. It's really, 24 is really fast. You have all of those guys in the backfield. And so now all of a sudden, all right, even if there is a little bit of pressure up front, even if the offensive line isn't the reincarnation of the Washington Redskins Hogs, you're fine because you have threats everywhere behind and next to Will Howard, including Will Howard. So all of those things take the pressure off of that. The thing that I'm going to be fascinated with as we get into game week next week and we start stacking these games up is just how do you manage these blowouts that are coming? How does Ryan Day coach in them? How quickly does he get guys off? All of those things. Go ahead, Reese.
You put in the backup quarterback and allow him to run the full complement of the Ohio State football offense.
How many backups?
Probably at least 2 of them.
In Akron, I'll just say this.
You better see all 5 quarterbacks?
You better see Julian Sane.
Yeah. Sure. That's it. How long do you play Will Howard, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Emeka Buka, Jeremiah Smith, Tate? How long do you play those guys? How long do you play the guys up front? I think offensive line is going to be really fascinating. Keep those guys healthy, because if you look at the NFL, it's the lines that get battered. You got to keep the defensive line and the offensive line healthy. To me, the first team offense, defensive line, I don't even need to see them in the second half of these games.
I was just about to ask, with the offensive line, if you guys you have depth-wise, you have your second team and your third team, do you, in blowout situations, have them play different positions to get game reps
cross-train
at right guard, at center, to make sure that in the season, if there isn't a case of emergency and I got to find a left guard, I can just pull from my center depth? Or vice versa.
For sure. Yeah. I think all of those things are in play. And I think the lines of scrimmage are where the depth is really going to have to be developed. It's really the 2 lines of scrimmage.
And we've heard the line coaches this week, Johnson for the defense and Fry for the offense, that they're trying to get 8-10 guys ready to be in a rotation on both lines of scrimmage so that they feel like they have starting caliber guys out there with 2 different units. And that's because of the reality of what this is now.
Yeah, high school football is on tonight. Bake's going to have your post game. He's going to join us with a preview of Central Ohio high school football coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We used to have a billboard with our host's face on it, but only ugly people work here now.
You mama say you ugly, hey!
The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Hey, Buckeye fans, ready for the chance to win one of 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences? As the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, Roosters is kicking off an incredible giveaway you won't want to miss. We're talking tickets, sideline passes, a trip for 2 to the Oregon game, and exclusive access to the Ryan Day Coaches Show. Go to roosterswings.com to register and see all the details. 3 drawings, 12 winners. Register today and every day. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
And what is it called?
A ceiling fan.
And where is it?
It's on the floor.
And why is that a problem?
Well, see, the person who named it probably should have called it a floor. No, that's not right. The guy on TV I saw put up a ceiling fan.
Are you a TV star, Paul?
No, I'm not.
Are you an electrician, Paul?
I am not.
You are?
I am a middle management accountant, and I shouldn't be putting up ceiling fans.
You should.
Call the pros who knows.
Apex
Pros.
The pros who knows know electrical work, too. Hi, it's Alex from Apex Pros. And if you liked us for plumbing, cooling, and heating, you're going to love our pro electricians.
Apex Pros are on the way.
Much easier, isn't it?
I'm glad we sorted this out.
Me too.
Columbus loves the pros who knows. Schedule with one click at apexpros.com.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Do you love cars as much as I do? That might be impossible, but if you think you do, you need to get to Cars and Coffee at Valley Ford of Columbus this Saturday. It's the day to drive in your vehicle and show it off. There's no fee, so tell your friends too. Bring their cars out this Saturday, and it's a Ford F-150 celebration. See all the great trucks and cars this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Food and fun for you and the whole family. My guys and gals at Valley Ford of Columbus have Cars and Coffee this weekend. And as always, check out their selection online, valleyfordofcolumbus.com.
The Fan Tailgate is back at the Ozone on Lane.
Sponsored by your Central Ohio Ford dealers, Hollywood Casino, and TNT Equipment.
Admission is free. Join us for food, fun, and tipsy radio hosts. The Fan, Ohio's tailgating destination.
At Kroger Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Kroger pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Kroger Health, a world of care is in store. Visit Kroger.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details.
Direct Auto Insurance is for uncompromisers. The people who refuse to make trade-offs in life. Like Kelly, when her old car insurance got so expensive that she couldn't afford to drive anymore, do you think she started carrying her groceries for miles? No. But she did find Direct Auto's savings that allowed her to drive instead of compromise. With savings of up to 25%, you too can stop compromising and keep driving. Get a quote today at directauto.com. Savings based on applied discounts and will vary. Terms apply. How you buy can affect price. National General Group, Winston-Salem.
Need assistance with door and window projects? The Home Depot can help. From inspiration and materials to ordering and installation, our free millwork virtual apron service can get you moving and doing. Plus, we speak Spanish too. Our associates can help you tackle complex jobs without you leaving the job site, saving you time and money. Call us at 1-833-HD-APRON or visit homedepot.com/MVA. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Are you ready to build your company's dream team? Just like in sports, finding skilled players is essential for success. With Robert Half's winning combination of specialized recruiting professionals and award-winning AI, we'll help you find the MVPs and key role players who will have you hanging banners in the rafters. Because in business, it's all about having the experienced team on your side. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
The best hair on the air. You are listening to Bishop and Friends.
Friday Night Lights tonight. We head out on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Our great friend, Mr. Bake, Ryan Baker, joining us. He's a host of High School Football Overtime right here on The Fan. That'll hit around 9:30-ish and go through 11 at the conclusion of the Harvest Prep Pick Central game tonight at 7. Bake, thanks so much for taking the time, buddy. I asked this question off the top of the show, and we were having a little fun with it. Best high school football player you ever saw play in person. What is your answer to that?
Oh man, I've got to go back to when I was in high school, I think, Bo, and it's got to be Andy Katzenmoyer. He was a phenomenon at Westerville South here, and I remember, a kid that went to Grove City. We had a linebacker who was a pretty big kid as well. I think like 6'6", 230 pounds. His name was Andy Balling, and those two hit each other on a punt play, and it's the loudest sound I've ever heard at a football game before.
Big cat. See, that's the thing you get in Ohio is all of a sudden you get a big cat roaming the field, and you show up and you go, okay, that's different. That looks a little bit different. We've been blessed with incredible talent here really as long as you've been playing high school football, 100 years or so, Bake. In terms of the teams to pay attention to this season, which teams jump out at you in Central Ohio?
I think the two right away that you look at, Bo, are Gahanna and Pickerington North. Gahanna has the unenviable task of replacing Dior Hubbard, who's down at West Virginia now, was a Mr. Football finalist, a great running back for them, but they still have Brennan Ward, their quarterback, who's committed to Kentucky. They brought in 2 transfers this year. One is Tayson Burns. He's a kid started his career at East High School, and this kid is just a dynamic athlete. He played wide receiver and running back as a freshman for East when they went on their great run and made the playoffs for the first time in a long time. Then last year he had to play quarterback for them because they didn't have anybody else to do it, and he did that. He's going to play supposedly wide receiver for Gahanna this year. I have a feeling you'll see him run the ball a lot. They also brought in Jaden Gwynn from Westerville Central, who's a strong, stout running back. So I think Gahanna is going to be really good. And then Pickerington North, they are loaded for bear. They've got Jaron Mock at quarterback. He's committed to Wisconsin. Preston Bowman, of course, the wide receiver. He's committed to Kentucky, but he has an offer on the table from Ohio State. And then their running back, Michael Taylor, is committed to OU. So they have a bunch of athletes on that Pick North squad. The only problem for them tonight, they're taking on Lakewood St. Ed's, the defending 3-time Division I state champ.
North is playing St. Ed's tonight.
Big one, Bo. Big one.
Wow. Where is that, here locally? Or is that up there?
That is over at Pick North.
St. Ed's is at Pick North tonight. Boy.
Huge game.
Good luck getting into that one. Those Pickerington people, they pack them in, man. They're ready to go. You've mentioned some players who stood out there, and obviously on 2 of the really, really loaded teams. Are there some other guys in Central Ohio we need to keep our eye on and maybe pay attention to? Not even just Buckeyes, but just elite high school football players that when we hear their names, pay attention.
Well, when we start with the Buckeyes, you got Jake Cook, the lineman for Westerville North. He's been a tackle his whole career. I know Ohio State's looking at him as an interior lineman, so he's going to play. They said he's going to play all 5 positions on the line this year for Westerville North. He is a big-time guy. Robert Lathan. He's a running back from Bishop Hartley. He's a junior. He's in the same class as Bo Jackson, who's committed to Ohio State from Villa Angela St. Joseph's. Those two actually played each other last year, and Robert Lathan kind of outshined Bo Jackson in that game. So he is a heck of a running back as well. You know, the one thing I love about the Central Ohio this year is the junior class of quarterbacks. There is a lot of really good junior quarterbacks in the area this year. So kids that may not be getting recruited for this year, but for next year. But there are some big-time guys. In our game tonight, Bo, there's a kid for Harvest Prep. His name's Des Porter. This kid is just a junior. He's a beast. He's like 6'2", 230 pounds, is a middle linebacker, plays quarterback some for them, plays running back for them. He kind of does everything. This kid is a monster.
Bake, you're Grove City?
Yeah, I grew up and went to Grove City.
Yeah, that's one of those places that they do it. They really, I'm talking like 07, 08 when I first got here. Like they did it right. Like a Friday Night Lights, they check the boxes there.
Bo, how about this for Grove City tonight, by the way? They're playing Taze Valley, and Taze Valley has gotten a lot better the last few years. In Grove City's heyday back through the 90s and early 2000s, their coach was Brian Cross. Brian Cross is the coach at Taze Valley now, so that's a huge one down in Grove City tonight.
That's awesome. In terms of how many, through the various classifications, how many state champion type squads are there in Central Ohio? Are there some that jump out?
Well, I think the two we talked about in the big school division with Gahanna and Pickerington North, I'd probably throw Upper Arlington in there as well, just because they're a super senior-laden team, and I think their head coach, Justin Buttermore, is not just the best or one of the best in Central Ohio. I think he's one of the best coaches in the whole state of Ohio. In Division III, Bishop Watterson made a run to the state championship game last year. They're still loaded. They've got a lot of former Buckeyes kids on that team. Their quarterback, Drew Belisari. is playing quarterback for the first time this year, but he was a starting safety last year. They've also got the Uhlenhake boys on that team. So Watterson, and in that same division region there, we talked about Hartley a little bit. Hartley with Robert Lathan and Denham Cook, their linebacker who's going to Pitt. I think they're going to be really good this year. And then Harvest Prep in Division 5, Bo, they've made 4 straight trips to the state Final Four. First in Division 7, then the last 2 years in Division 5. They're a team that the numbers game catches up with them, especially playing up because of competitive balance, but they're as athletic as any team. We mentioned Des Porter. Jamarcus Jones is a heck of a defensive back for them.
Folks, I hope you just appreciated that. Bake has an encyclopedic knowledge of Central Ohio high school football, and it will be on display every single Friday night right here on The Fan. That's as good as it gets. Excellent stuff, Bake. I knew you'd knock it out of the park. Absolutely crushed it. Can't wait to listen to you guys tonight on the postgame.
I love it, Bo. And, hey, don't forget about this. We talked about Upper Arlington. Cleveland-Glenville at Upper Arlington tonight.
So Glenville is in town and St. Ed's in town.
It's a beautiful thing.
Buckle up. Buckle up, buddy. Good stuff. Great talking to you, pal.
Talk to you later, Bo.
All right, that's Ryan Baker, host of High School Football Overtime right here on The Fan. So as you're leaving your high school football games tonight, get it here, and you'll figure out what's going on in the area. Some monster matchups in Week 1 in Central Ohio. 2-a-days at the highest level continues. We are in the NFC North. The Detroit Lions, can they stack a year on top of a year? We'll get into that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Common Man here for Care Heating and Cooling. Weather is unpredictable, but the inside of your home should be comfortable just the way you like it. And the best way to avoid those unnecessary surprises is with a care plan. See, with a care plan, you get priority service, system maintenance in case of an emergency. Just another way to give you and your family peace of mind. And maintaining your systems properly can help save you money. A properly maintained furnace and air conditioner run more efficiently, reducing your utility usage. Regular maintenance also prevents breakdowns and extends the life of your equipment. I'm on the care plan, and I'm quite the expert. I'll stop by and give your system a once-over. I will. Don't tempt me. I end every commercial the same way, telling you to hire Care when you need a company you can trust. It's not just the slogan. That's the Care creed. How about this? Lennox. They have thousands of dealers nationwide. HVAC royalty. Last year, Lennox gave Care their coveted Partner of the Year award because they're trusted by their customers and their partners. Care Heating and Cooling. Call 1-800-COOLING or book an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com when you need a company you can trust.
It's the summer sell down at Performance. Get up to $16,000 off MSRP on new 24 Jeep Wranglers and Grand Cherokees during the Make This the Summer of Jeep event. Performance Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, Georgesville and Delaware.
Not valid on previous sales. Cannot combine offers. Must take delivery from dealer stock 8/20 to 8/31/24.
Hey, it's Bobby. When it comes to tackling a project as important as your roof, you want a company that cares about the product and experience they're going to deliver. At Newman Roofing, you're more than just a number. They believe in 100% customer satisfaction. And for your roofing needs, give them a call at 614-NEW-ROOF or newmanroofing.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. It's week 1 of the high school football season. The Fan's high school football game of the week is Harvest Prep at Pick Central. You can hear the call live from Pickerington Central at 7 o'clock. Ryan Baker and Lee Cochran will deliver high school football overtime around 9:30. Week 0 in college football is tomorrow at noon. 10th-ranked Florida State plays Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. Number 2 Ohio State will host Akron next Saturday at 3:30. In the NFL, preseason play wraps up this weekend. The Bengals lost to the Colts 27-14 last night in their preseason finale. Cincinnati's got 16 days before opening the season against New England. Sunday, September 8th, Cleveland Browns, they're in Seattle for their preseason finale tomorrow night. You can hear Browns Seahawks on the Fan Saturday at 10 p.m. And in baseball Friday, the Reds are at the Pirates at 6:40. The Guardians host the Rangers at 7:10. This update is sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, give Dr. Mark Levy a call at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com.
Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
It is so cool to see the names that pop through when we talk about the greatest high school football player you ever saw. And every once in a while, one pops up that I saw too, whether it was in Florida or Central Ohio, and you're reminded of the talent. We are so blessed here. You heard Bake just there recently in the last segment talking about the games that we have here in town, the talent that we have here in town. Those matchups, UA against Glenville, is nuts. That's a crazy matchup in week 1, and St. Ed's coming down to play Pick North. I mean, my guess is Pick North's already tailgating for that. I mean, that's crazy. Like, St. Ed's in town to play Pick North and all of the talent Pick North has. So that's going to be a absolutely bonkers game out there. It's funny seeing all of the names that pop through and where you grew up. A lot of people saw Burrow when he was young, or Robert Smith if it's a Northeast Ohio play. It's got a Curtis Enos, Kajana Carter, some of those guys out there. Andy Katzenmoyer, Bake mentioned that, and Ronald mentions it as well on social, that he was a Grove City kid too, and he remembers seeing Big Cat come in. Got a fun one from Bob. This is from ZZ. He says, I can still remember the sound of Lancaster's Bobby Carpenter hitting Westerville North's quarterback while sprinting full speed. It sounded like a shotgun. I bet it did. But it did sound like a shotgun in those days. So we're very blessed. The type of talent that has come through the state here. Go ahead, Charles.
It's weird how somehow the high school players sometimes, especially from your kid days, seem bigger than the pro or college players that you're into.
They are.
It's crazy because they're touchable. They're right there.
They're right there, and you're a little kid.
Yeah.
And they're larger than life.
They like a bunch of Elks came to my elementary school once, and kids were getting autographs from them, and they were just seniors in high school.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that happens. That is a very regular occurrence because they are your first heroes. They are the first people that you can touch playing the sport. Like, you're a little kid, you're growing up. Like, Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals isn't touchable. But Joe Burrow at Plains High School, if you're in middle school or in the 4th or 5th grade and you went and saw him play, he was touchable. Mm-hmm. He probably gave you a high five on the run out of the Spirit Tunnel, stuff like that. Like, it's one of those things where it's so much more intimate than it gets before you go along. And when you are lucky enough to see one of those guys who really goes, you remember it forever. Like Big Cat. Like, you're like, boy, he looks different. And then, well, sure enough, he goes to Ohio State as a true freshman. They gave him 45, and he's dominant right away. Like, that's one of those things that you're going to remember that forever because you saw them play then. I was telling you guys in the break, it's in the South, especially in Georgia, particularly, certainly years ago. I think they got it better now. It wasn't so much the kids who made it out of Georgia, it's the kids who didn't, because they really used them up. Like in Florida and in Ohio, they do a pretty good job of, and certainly now it's probably even better in Georgia than it was then. But back in those days, like, Georgia didn't really care if the kids were eligible, right, for college. Like, they wanted to win a state championship. And so there were countless kids who I remember covering at Valdosta or Lowndes or Thomas County Central, Colquitt County, where they were the best player on the team. There was a quarterback, no names, but there was a quarterback I remember specifically who was the best quarterback in the state of Georgia, but did not go to school. I'm talking about did not go to school. I'm not talking about a little bit or I'm saying he legitimately did not attend school and had no grades and did not take the SAT, and they won a state championship his senior year. And I'm like, well, he's got to go to Georgia. I'm like, no, he doesn't go to school. What do you mean? No, he doesn't attend class. So, like, they didn't care. They just used him up. My hunch is, I think when Mark Richt got to Georgia, he worked really hard to try to make sure that didn't happen as much. And I think it's gotten better. It has to have, because Kirby obviously loads his roster with those kids. But at that time, it was the Wild West, especially in South Georgia. Those kids, half those kids wouldn't do anything beyond high school.
So, like, every decision was made. What makes him better at football today? And right no worry about the future.
Yeah, we're trying to win a state title.
And that's the unfortunate part, when you start to look into some of these legendary figures of of high school football, that a lot of them, because we hear that a ton about like college players or even former pro players who squander their money in high school. Sometimes it's just as detrimental to the future when it all ends.
And in those places, like the amount of work it took to get LeGarrette Blount to the NFL, the amount of work it took to get LeGarrette Blount to college was astronomical. It's amazing he got out of it and became a pro.
And for every one LeGarrette Blount, how many guys are there that they try 50. And it doesn't work with? Yeah.
50. Yeah. One gets out. That's kind of the way that it typically goes. All right, let's continue with two-a-days. Hit it, fellas.
Bishop and Friends present two-a-days. Our preseason look around the league. We may skip over
the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders,
but that's because they suck.
We are in the NFC North, and we are doing the Detroit Lions first because, damn it, they're one of three teams that I look at in the NFC that can go win the Super Bowl. They're 12-5 a year ago. They were first in the North. They lost in the NFC Championship game in an ultra-competitive game to the 49ers. They got better along the way. Like, they're one of the few teams that you feel like there's even a higher ceiling than what they were a year ago. They have stars. They have Amon St. Brown. They have stars on the defense. They have a star in coaching. They all row in the same direction. It's interesting. We talk about rowing in the same direction, and you talk about that certainly happening, for example, at a place like the Browns, and they row in the same direction in the way that they approach things. That is it's an analytical approach. This is rowing in the same direction in a football guy approach. Like, all of these guys are like-minded. They do all of the things that you would want. They're beloved. This roster is really good. There's not really any holes anywhere here on this roster. They got a lot of hell for taking Jack Campbell first in the 23 draft. Well, he's a dude at middle linebacker, and they're playing him, and they're ready to go. You look at, Laporta at tight end was a star in year one. They took Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round a year ago. He looks like he's ready to break out and even be a bigger star than he was as a rookie. Goff, I think, finally got his due. Finally, as being a very, very good quarterback and someone who has obviously quarterbacked in a Super Bowl, but perhaps there's even more in store for him this year. It's just a matter of how do you handle success? Can you stack 2 years consecutively? There is no question here that this is a talented roster. We're almost done with the NFC and knowing who's to come, maybe Green Bay could be in this category as well. But the three teams in the NFC that I look at and go, yeah, go win the Super Bowl, it's Detroit, it's Philly, and it's San Francisco. And I think everybody else is kind of a step back beyond those three. But these guys are absolutely one of the teams that can do that.
Yeah, when you break it down, you look at it, especially on the roster, and it's not just having the quarterback, which all three of them do. They also have the defense, because that's something I've noticed, especially like hey, what jersey do you want to buy? And some of those teams that we're not huge fans of, I'm like, well, is there like a defensive player that I'm not thinking of? No, there's not. But these teams, the teams you mentioned in the Lions especially too, like you look at the defensive side of the ball and you see that one, they built it. These are a lot of their draft picks, and yes, two, there are stars on that side of the ball. And then on the offensive side, it's funny that they were able to trade Hawkinson to the Vikings, and then they pulled off the Justin Jefferson thing, but at tight end. They just traded him and said, we'll just pick up a new guy, and then they get Sam Laporta, oddly enough, also from Iowa, but they replace him. He's been effective. The Penei Sewell one did work out for them, although I think it also worked out for Jamar Chase to go to the Bengals. But everything was building, and they are we have those categories. They are an example of a team that was building 3-4 years ago, and they have built to it now, and now it is go win it all. This is a very good blueprint, and it's not always attainable, but this is the blueprint of how you do it, how you actually build in the NFL. And similar to the Browns, who have gone through this sense where they've built that, it's really tough because you kind of have to go through all those bad years, but when you finally decide to do it and you're the Lions, you have to stack on some bad years, and now they are finally cultivating the good out of that after, I don't know, 3 decades of irrelevance.
Irrelevancy. Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about it in our Mount Rushmore. But they've got two of the best, arguably, players at any given position, and they've got what, like 1 playoff win between Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders, or 3 playoff wins.
Barry had a couple. They got to an NFC Championship game and got obliterated by the Cowboys.
But best running back all 90s. Time for short list, and then Calvin Megatron, best wide receiver ever. And what they have to show for it. It's interesting because people are trying to find like the way to make a football team. And there's the schools of thought of nerd, like the Browns, and tough football guy or meathead, like the Lions. And everybody's trying to find like that happy medium. And it's like, does that exist?
They both work. You just have to have everybody on that same page.
Yes.
Two guys that I know personally are involved in the front office here, and it makes sense that they're this good. Chris Spielman, who they hired a few years ago to kind of be over a lot of the operation. How many things has Spielman not been good at, right? So the idea that he would be a culture tornado is not surprising. And then the other guy is John Dorsey. John Dorsey was not great at hiring football coaches. Right? He put basically his career as a general manager on the line to hire Freddie Kitchens, okay? But what John Dorsey is good at is talent. He can see it, and he can draft it. And he's their head of scouting, and he finds diamonds in the rough. He finds the difference between players and who can and can't. He drafted Patrick Mahomes, for crying out loud. He drafted Denzel Ward. He drafted Nick Chubb in the second round. This is what he does. He can identify talent. He drafted Kareem Hunt, at a premium. This is what he does. So no holes. This roster's ready to go and go win the thing. Let's hit the categories on the Leos, starting with your personal franchise Mount Rushmore, Reese.
I'm going to go Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, Matt Stafford, and Jared Goff.
Ooh, I like the double quarterback dip on there. Yeah, I don't see anybody not having Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson on there. I mean, they're the two best players of the Lions and just about anybody's lifetime. I suppose if you're in your 60s, 70s, or above, there might be some lines that you're thinking of. But as far as modern football, it's been a tough go for them. I put Taylor Decker in there. He always stood out to me when we were in school at the same time. He's a really cool guy. J-Lo's a big fan of him as well. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, is she?
And I had Matt Stafford on there, too. He's their best quarterback, at least by my account. All the other ones are kind of laughing stocks that have been under center in that time frame for Detroit.
I'm really happy that YouTube exists, if for no other reason, for kids to see Barry Sanders run the football. I mean, that's because if you didn't see it live, you can't. There's no way you can wrap your head around how great he was. And what he did with those lines and those teams was just absolutely bonkers. So Barry, Megatron's a no-brainer. Stafford's a no-brainer for me. I remember him on his recruiting visit to Florida State, and he was one of those guys that he did an interview. Recruiting visit, he did an interview with the local. He was that big of a prospect. He chose between Florida State and Georgia. He's one of those kids who talked like a pro quarterback when he was 17. And then probably on a short list of best nicknames ever, Dick Night Train Lane. I mean, Night Train? Are you kidding me? How great is that? We don't do nicknames as much as we used to in the old days. I think we got to get back to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Did they land the plane with the alternate uniform?
So we're talking just the black ones with the blue helmet and the black lion?
CW saying, Lem Barney. Good job to you. I think it's probably
because they came out.
They redid everything. Yeah,
all new uniforms. I'm gonna give it a C+. Because the all black, fine. I think my thoughts are on it are, that's not really a creative choice. Yeah. I don't love the blue helmet with the all black. I think the steel helmet might have been a better look with it. But again, giving it personal grades, it's a C+. It's an average black uniform.
Yeah, I think C when you do the black uniform and it's not one of your primary colors. And then I dropped them one because the silver is just as cool of a color and is your color. And you could have worked that into something instead of going into the all black. So yeah, I went C- on it. But I do like that old school helmet with the old school line with the two rectangles behind it. That look for the helmet I think is pretty cool.
I'm going to tell you guys something. I was at the Pro Football Hall of Fame this summer, and that's the first time I saw their new uniforms in person, and they pop the way the Chargers baby blues pop.
Yeah.
They're an attention getter. They're gorgeous. The new ones went back to the Honolulu blue. They are perfect in every way, but I'm with you on the black. I don't think you need it. I'm sure Lions fans like it. It's just not for me to have black for no reason. I'd buy this jersey for my kid. Reese?
I think I'd get it a 14. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I was looking around there. I was tempted to do the Jack Campbell at middle linebacker for them, but then no-brainer. Number 68, Taylor Decker. One time I actually was in line at Chipotle with Taylor Decker, and he was nice enough. He talked to me the whole time. I had all sorts of football questions to ask him, so he's always been a great guy in my book.
Jamison Williams with the Ohio State ties. He's got to go at some point. He's kind of the one question. All they need is to unlock him. And for him to play to his
stop betting
talent.
on them sports.
That too. The one that jumped out to me, though, is a couple of years ago, NBC had to wear 46 because it was like, it doesn't matter what number you wear. It was that type of thing. Like, they wouldn't let him pick, and it's like, it's the front of the jersey, not the back. So he had to wear 46, and I remember thinking, like, I don't know anybody who wore 46. And then here's Jack Campbell.
There you go.
Would have been perfect. Paid plays linebacker, 46. That would have been perfect for back in the old days. I'm pretty sure we have a 20 Barry Sanders up there somewhere, though. It feels like we probably do. Win it all, playoffs, building, tanking. It's got to be crazy for Lions fans, guys, but go win the damn thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where they should be. They were right there. The two teams we're talking about today actually lost to San Francisco in the playoffs in close games.
Yeah, they're ready to go. Go win the Super Bowl, Detroit. Let's get it done. Coming up next, we hit the Green Bay Packers. That's coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
All the 10 TV people come over to our side of the building to take a deuce. That should tell you something about how we operate. The Fan.
Men, if erectile dysfunction is affecting you, getting treated could have a dramatic impact on your relationship and your outlook on life. But it's also important where you get treated because your health matters. And working with an organization that practices excellent medicine and has significant expertise in men's sexual health can often result in a far better outcome. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. And if you're seeking a quality provider to treat your ED or are just not satisfied with your current situation, call us. We'll show you a true 5-star experience and work with you to find the right treatment for your specific medical situation. At Tri-State Men's Health, we truly are experts in men's sexual health. But it's more than that. Unlike the online pill pushers or so-called men's clinics that only offer one or a few treatment options, we offer the full spectrum of ED protocols. We can even use combinative therapies for better results. At Tri-State Men's Health, your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Get Eco.
Hey, Aaron. Hey, Jerry. You seem pretty happy this morning. I invented a song. You know songwriters have an actual word for inventing a song. Everything we want people to know about Eco. Ready? Can't wait. Get Eco. G-E-T-E-C-O. Get Eco. They can really go. Get Eco. For your Cinco. Fixed in a blinko. You'll think-o. Hooray. Get Eco. G-E-T-E-C-O. Get Eco. You'll be cool like snow. Get Eco. Like an ice Ringo. Puerto Rico. Get Eco today. What do you think? You know we don't serve Puerto Rico, right? I do know that. I mean, the drive alone from Ohio is like, geez. Way too far. But you ran out of rhymes for Eco? You gotta admit, the rest is pretty catchy. Oh, it's earworming already.
Get Eco.
E-C-O. As is that thing.
We don't talk politics on The Fan. We'd rather talk about things that unite us, like the exciting Buckeye season ahead and pizza. How about the rebirth of the Jackets and pizza? Your home of the Buckeyes, Jackets, pizza, and no politics. The Fan.
Bob's Discount Furniture is coming to Polaris, and Bob's Discount Furniture wants you to win big this football season. It's easy. Get online and go to 971thefan.com to register to win a $1,000 gift card to Bob's Discount Furniture, so you can watch your favorite football team sitting in your new Bob's recliner or couch this season. Wow. That's $1,000 from Bob's Discount Furniture. All you have to do is register to win on the Fans Contest page at 971thefan.com. Hurry, contest ends Wednesday, August 28th. See complete contest details online at 971thefan.com.
We buy any car. Why sell your car at WeBuyAnyCar.com? Because selling it yourself can be, well, you know.
Okay, I'll give you half now. And? No, and just half. What?
Avoid the hassle. Come to We Buy Any Car instead. Get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price.
Yeah, I can't do half. I could probably bump it up to like 50%. Just go. Okay.
Get your free online valuation now at
WeBuyAnyCar.com.
If a friend asks how you're doing, and you say,
I'm okay.
when the truth is,
I don't want my problems to burden anyone.
or you say,
hang it in there.
because,
If I ask for help, they'll just think I'm weak.
then this is your sign to call, text, or chat 988 for free, confidential support. Anytime. You don't have to hide how you feel.
Trust. Not everyone deserves it. Not everyone should have it. It needs to be earned. Your trust. And when it comes to accurate information about Ohio's safe and secure elections, where should you turn? VoteOhio.gov. VoteOhio.gov is the source for providing you with the facts and real information about elections. So no matter where you are, what you do, or who you choose, get the real facts about Ohio's elections. VoteOhio.gov, your trusted elections source. Sponsored by the Ohio Secretary of State, Frank LaRose.
Whether you get pulled over or get into a crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking at another sunny day out there. Cool weather for the morning commute. Temperatures working their way up to the 70-degree mark by the noon hour today. We'll push into the mid-80s for the afternoon. Clear weather tonight. Temperature back down to the upper 50s with a high near 90 for Saturday as mostly sunny skies continued. A long stretch in the 90s kicks off this weekend and goes into next week. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
And we're sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without the medications. The solution for weight loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss. There you go on that. Two-a-days continues in the NFC North with the Green Bay Packers. We were talking about a little bit when we did the Jets and the notion that Rodgers sat for 3 full years and it all worked out, and then they tried to do it again. And initially you weren't sure, but Jordan Love felt like he took a step last season at quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. When you start having the conversation about Green Bay, it certainly starts there. You can't help but wonder, though, when you look back, like, what would their history have looked like if instead of drafting Jordan Love, they had drafted a receiver for Aaron Rodgers in that thing? They didn't. They went Love. He sat, and he's been really good last year in his first full year as a starter. Went 9-8, 41-59, 64% completions. What's he at? 11 touchdowns, 32 touchdowns, 11 picks for Love in his first year as the starter. They gave San Francisco all that they wanted in the postseason, and so the question is now, can they stack on it? He was one of those guys that snuck up on people. I don't know how many people realized he had the year he had last year, how successful he was. And it was one of those things that was building as the season went along. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you get to that playoff game and you're like, oh, wow, they're actually really good. Now, let's recall that he threw one of the worst interceptions you could ever throw in the playoff game. And that's kind of the lasting memory of the end of their season. So how short is his memory on that will be critical. They added Josh Jacobs from Vegas, so that to bolster their run game. They're going to be two-headed in the run game. You're going to get A.J. Dillon. You're going to get Josh Jacobs. They're both going to hit you over the head with a hammer there. The only thing is, you look at this roster, they've been waiting on Christian Watson for a long time. They've been waiting on Romeo Doubs for a long time. They don't have, at the receiver position, like a true proven available dude. Watson's really good when he plays. He's just been hurt a lot. So they are not, when I look at this roster, they're not in the position that Detroit is in. To me, it feels like, yeah, if all goes well and Love can stack another year, then maybe they could be something special. But I also think there's kind of a concrete ceiling on what this team can be. This does not feel like a Super Bowl contender to me in any way.
Yeah, and it's always that question of, okay, is the quarterback in Jordan Love going to build on this, or was that hey, welcome to the NFL, a little bit of a boost on that, and then it regresses a little bit to more of what his average play is going to be. We'll see as the season goes on. And as last season goes on, like you mentioned, that's why he kind of came out of nowhere by the time we rolled around to the playoffs, because I think we a little bit wrote off Green Bay there at the beginning, too, that like, okay, they're going to be okay, but they're still figuring out their post-Rodgers days. And quickly you can like look at the ratings of his game log. It started out fine, 123 and 113 in their first two games, but then a string of 66, 69, 32, 90, 72. And that, I think, is where a lot of people crystallize their opinions about teams for the year, too. Early on in the season, that you see some primary matchups and you go, okay, Green Bay, we can kind of write them off. But down the stretch, his last 4 games of the season, 111, 109, 125, and 128, really started to turn on that quarterback rating number and just play overall better. And so when you got to the postseason, for the people who were paying attention, it was like, no, this Jordan Love guy actually is good. He's not just the replacement for Rodgers. It looks like he's going to be really good. So can he get to that level for an entire season? If they do, they'll threaten to win this division.
Feels like they're a year away, at least, from being that serious NFC contender. Like, they've got a really ambitious schedule. I keep forgetting, much like I forgot or didn't really know Vince Vaughn was in Rudy, the Brazil game that they're going to be doing against the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, yeah. Okay, like, that's going to be what do you take from that? Week 1 in Brazil. They can wear green, though, right?
The reporting was that they can't wear green because the rival of the stadium that it's in, their rival wears green.
It's going to be hilarious to see the kind of takes that come out of that game, because I don't know if they hold from week 1 to week 2.
So there was a lot of thought that the Browns were going to be playing in that game, a great deal of thought, and I think it was a very serious conversation, and that also might be why the Browns ended up playing in Seattle on Saturday at 10 o'clock at night. They can play into that as well.
All right, I'd rather that.
So just talking to the security guys with the Browns, it was almost like if they were going to play in that game, they were going to treat it almost like a COVID game. So they were going to fly, instead of flying in and getting acclimated and all of that, they were basically going to fly in, and it's a long flight, like 10 hours. They were basically going to fly down there day before, fly down there day before, go to the hotel, and then strict curfew. Like, you have to be you can't leave the hotel, play the game, like bus to the game, and then fly out, like in Brazil.
Yeah.
And so I don't even, that one, just throw it out. Like, that's going to be such a unique experience to do that. I don't understand the thought of it at all. But that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like a COVID game, is the way that that Brazil game.
Fun,
except for the crowd.
Right, except they'll have a crowd.
Yeah.
But the way that the teams will handle it. I mean, are they really? They got to be smart enough to not root against a team because they're green. I mean, how stupid? You kidding?
They just take it very seriously.
Yeah, well, they do.
When we let a winged helmet come in from a different
Bo Bishop
program,
insulted Brazilians, not Eric and Chops.
I don't have any reason to go there.
We're on YouTube, man. We could be worldwide.
That's true. I'm well past the point of needing to go to Rio for Carnival. Like, I don't even know if I could make that work anymore. So there was a time where it was a dream, but now I think probably not. Let's hit the categories quickly on the Packers. Franchise Mount Rushmore, Reese.
I got Aaron Rodgers, Vince Lombardi, Reggie White, Bart Starr. Brett Favre can be on it if he gives the state of Mississippi its money back.
I didn't want to put Rodgers on there, even though he probably should be, so I didn't. But this one didn't have to open up the history books. Know these two names, and they're legends of the NFL. Vince Lombardi and Bart Starr, I think, are no-brainers. David Bakhtiari, he's fun off the field, too. He'll chug the beer if they put him on the Jumbotron in a Bucs game. He's been around for a long time. And I like offensive linemen, so I put him on there. And then Greg Jennings, because he put the team on his back, though. Which I don't know if Bo gets that reference. I assume, Reeser, you do.
I don't get it. I don't got it.
There was a guy who it was a Madden game, and he was showing a replay, and he just filmed himself doing the replay. And he's like, Greg Jennings broke his leg earlier in this game. And then he's like, and then I threw it to him, and it's like a 90-yard run. And he's like,
Darren Sharp.
Darren Sharp comes out of nowhere.
Oh, my gosh. So my kids would know that, because that's all they do.
It's not exactly. I cleaned up the language a little bit. So you check it out and decide if it's appropriate for them.
I'll see if I can find the video to post at 971BFS on Twitter.
I think both. Their history is so great that you can avoid putting guys who would deserve to be on it but are jerks off of it. So, like, Favre's a jerk, he's out. Rodgers is a jerk, he's out. You can go Bart Starr, Ray Nitschke, Vince Lombardi, Reggie White. You could go, there's 1,000 of them. I mean, from my era, Don Mikowski was really good, and when I was a kid, Sterling Sharp was really good. They have so many. It's an absurd abundance of riches. Did they land the plane with the alternate? So they have a white helmet this year, first time.
So they like the winter warning, all whites. And again, it's a C because they just did the thing with the black jerseys, but they did another color. It's like, that's not that. I don't find it like anything to write home about.
I like that the one they have that's like really stripped down that is just green and yellow. now.
The old school.
Yeah, so that one I gave like a B+, but it's, I mean, I think I'm with you, Bo. Like, a lot of the, like, solid color is, like, not exactly what we're going for with football uniforms. So as they do that more, is this one all white, too? Or
It is, and I honestly think all white, like a whiteout, is almost as much of a cheat code as a blackout.
Yes.
Like, it's going to look clean. Like, a white helmet with a bright color is going to look clean, but it's like it's a little bit too easy.
Nothing to freak out about.
We'll get to the Vikings and what they did next week. Have you seen that one? Yeah.
I have. Yeah. So we'll get to that. So I will go C+, B-. It's going to look clean, but it's a little bit of a cheat code. I'd buy this jersey for my kid.
I give it 10. I think he's legit. I get Jordan Love.
Love on the back is kind of a cool name to just kind of be there too. But to offer somebody else, I think 8 Josh Jacobs is a fun one, and I think he'll be very involved in a good team this year.
Yeah, all the boys were 10, so the Love 10 is an easy one. That would be an easy one to get, and I'd get the green home as the winner there.
Can I interest you in a Sean Clifford?
No, you cannot. Win it all, playoffs building, or tanking for the Packers.
It's a playoff team. I think they can snag an NFC wild card, but that's where their ceiling is.
Yep, same. I wouldn't be shocked if they made a run to an NFC Championship game. They're building in the right direction. Max Chadwick was a perspective not just on the NFC North, but the league at large. Coming up next to PFF, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Back to school time. Your kids probably have fancy friends. Isn't it about time you gave them a ride to be proud of? Actually, hell with the kids. Treat yourself to a new Lexus. Right now, it's the Golden Opportunity Sales Event with rates as low as 2.99% on ES, NX, and RX, as well as great lease payments. I've been a Jermaine customer for years, even before I started doing the commercials. If you're in the market, please stop in. Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
Are you ready to turn your passion for media into a career? Ohio Media School is the place for you. With hands-on training in radio, television, sports broadcasting, and digital media, you'll gain the skills and experience you need to succeed. Don't wait. Classes are starting soon. Visit beonair.com and take the free assessment to get started. Enroll today and take the first step towards your dream career. Ohio Media School. Your future in media starts here. Visit beonair.com. beonair.com. Enroll now.
And what is it called?
A ceiling fan.
And where is it?
It's on the floor.
And why is that a problem?
Well, see, the person who named it probably should have called it a floor. No, that's not right. The guy on TV I saw put up a ceiling fan.
Are you a TV star, Paul?
No, I'm not.
Are you an electrician, Paul?
I am not.
You are?
I am a middle management accountant, and I shouldn't be putting up ceiling fans.
You should.
Call the pros who knows.
Apex Pros.
The pros who know electrical work, too. Hi, it's Alex from Apex Pros. And if you'd like us for plumbing, cooling, and heating, you're going to love our pro electricians.
Apex Pros are on the way.
Much easier, isn't it?
I'm glad we sorted this out.
Me too.
Columbus loves the pros who knows. Schedule with one click at apexpros.com.
Common Man and T-Bone.
I mean, I like the name because I know that was a guy, right? The Earl of Sandwich.
The Earl of Sandwich took me for a ride on his scooter.
Common Man and T-Bone.
Sponsored by the Hinderer Motor Company.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on The Fan.
There's a place where mishaps don't mean missing out. Welcome to AAA's The Plus Side, where a AAA Plus membership means that an empty gas tank won't keep you from a full day. Where a flat tire doesn't have to deflate your mood. Where being locked out doesn't mean you'll be out of luck for long. And where a dead battery can't stop you from being the life of the party.
Looks like you're all set here. Have a good rest of the day.
Because on the plus side, roadside mishaps don't have to ruin your day. With AAA Plus, you're covered with the gold standard in roadside assistance, whenever and wherever you need it. Tire changes, battery swaps, and emergency fuel are just a tap, click, or call away. AAA gets to you faster, and if you need a tow, we'll take you further, anywhere within 100 miles. Become a AAA Plus member today and experience the peace of mind that comes when you live on the plus side. Towing is subject to a 7-day waiting period. Terms and conditions apply. Service is only available from AAA and CAA in North America.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Have you ever heard someone say that they just don't make or do things like they used to? While that may be true for many things, there is one company who strives to deliver the customer experience and quality product that we all reminisce about. And that company, well, it's Newman Roofing. You can read it time and time again in their reviews, how much they truly care about their customers and the roofs that they install. And I should know, they installed a roof for me and my family, and it was tremendous. Their sales team was fantastic, and the quality was phenomenal. They strive to leave the home as they found it. And some customers say they even leave it cleaner than it was before, and I can second that. Not only do they install a quality product that is going to protect your home and family for years to come, but they also walk away leaving you feeling confident that you hired the right company. Whether you need a roof repair or replaced, call the company that families have been trusting for 32 years, and that company is Newman Roofing. 614-NEW-ROOF or newmanroofing.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, let's head out to the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Max Chadwick on the other end, PFF college football analyst, co-host of the PFF College Football Show. Get his take on the big sport, which week 0 this weekend, and then next weekend, week 1, we'll get some thoughts on that as well. But I did want to start, and we were talking about the NFC North and the talent. Max, this is an ascending division quickly. The Bears could be a lot better right away if you believe all the Caleb Williams hype, and I certainly do. Let's start at the top, though, with Detroit. 12-5 a year ago, on the cusp of the Super Bowl. You look at the roster and you say, well, hey, go win it all. Are there any hiccups with this Detroit setup, or are you with me where they're a team out of the NFC that certainly could go do it?
I think they are, guys. I think the Lions are certainly one of the top teams in the NFC right now, and I think this is a team that should fully expect to once again be competing for an NFC title right now, right? I don't think they're necessarily the favorite to win the NFC this year. I think the 49ers are still pretty clearly the best team in that conference, and you could look at some other teams too in that conference too that I think have a really good shot at. Like the Eagles, I think have really improved this offseason as well, and they should be back as well. So I think the Lions were right in that mix though of being one of the top teams in the conference, and they were very, very close to making the Super Bowl last year. They really had a furious comeback from the 49ers in that second half of the NFC title game, or else the Lions would have been in the Super Bowl, right? So I think they improved some of the spots in the defense they needed to improve, and that offense should still be really good with Ben Johnson coming back at OC. So, I think Detroit absolutely should still expect to be competing at the top of the NFC this year.
How about Green Bay? 9-8. Feels like Love came on really strong late. And then you go and look at what he did a year ago, and you go, oh, he was a lot better than I think people give him credit for. But it ended tough for him, especially at the end of that game with the Niners. What did you make of Jordan Love's, not his rookie year, but his first full year as the starter? And what do you make of that roster heading into this season?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's another playoff team in the NFC. I mean, Jordan Love, like you said, he started off a little bit slow. Then it feels like really from Thanksgiving on, he was absolutely lights out. And then Thanksgiving game, he was absolutely electric as well. So, and he looked phenomenal in the playoffs for the Packers as well, and led them all the way to the divisional round of the playoffs. So, I think the Packers are set at quarterback for the foreseeable future, and why they're paying him, $55 million a year is because they think the same thing, right? So I think that passing game is definitely the biggest strength of this team. I think they improved some of their spots defensively they need to improve. Like I think safety was kind of a weakness last year, and they brought in Xavier McKinney from the Giants, who's a really, really good safety. They still have some issues at linebacker, I think, but they added Edgerrin Cooper at linebacker, one of the top linebackers in the draft. So I think the Packers are absolutely still a playoff team this year, and with Jordan Love there, and I think they're going to compete again in that division.
Max, I want to talk to you about the Bears, and I was thinking about this earlier this week in regard to Caleb Williams. Is it the best spot a number 1 overall pick has landed in since Andrew Luck?
Yeah, good question. That's probably the one I would have gone to as well. I think it's definitely the best I can remember, right? That was 13, 14 years ago, the Andrew Luck one now. So, yeah, I think that's the thing that people have got to remember is he's the number 1 overall pick, but the Bears were the 9th worst team last year. They were not that bad, right?
No.
So they only had the number 1 pick because they had the trade with the Panthers, who were actually the worst team in the league last year. So, yeah, Caleb was walking into an excellent situation, and not only were they a decent team last year, they added in a lot of talent as well, like guys like Rome Odunze coming in, guys like Keenan Allen coming in as well. So Caleb is in a great spot to succeed immediately in Chicago, and why I think Chicago could be pushing for a playoff spot this year.
When you think of Williams, and obviously you do the college football show at PFF, you've paid a lot of attention to Caleb Williams over the last 3 years. He was a starter as a freshman at Oklahoma. What does his game translate to the NFL? What will be his strengths? If there are weaknesses, where is it?
Yeah, I'm all in on Caleb Williams. I think he's one of the best quarterback prospects I've ever seen, honestly, and I think I put him right in that same category as like an Andrew Luck or a Trevor Lawrence, honestly. I'm really all in on this kid, and I actually fortunately was lucky enough to talk to him a couple of years ago for a 20-minute sit-down interview, and I can tell you that he's the most competitive player I've ever spoken to. Like, that kid just wants it, man. He is a born killer. So I'm really excited to see him in Chicago, and on the field, at least, I think he is a guy that can make absolute magic happen. I mean, he can throw from any arm angle. He's got a little bit of those Mahomes qualities in him. I'm not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, but he's got some of those Mahomes qualities in him in terms of how he's able to throw the football. The weaknesses, I think you saw a little bit last year where, he played a little hero ball last year. And actually, he kind of had to for USC, right? USC was a defense that gave up about 50 points a game. He knew, hey, if I don't score a touchdown on this drive, we're going to lose this game, right? So I think he played a little hero ball, but also kind of out of necessity last year. But I think if he plays more within the offense this year, he doesn't, his defense in Chicago is decent, so it's not like he's going to have to, put up a touchdown every single drive. So play a little bit more within structure, but still keep that magic that you have in you. And I think he's going to be a special quarterback that we have in the NFL.
I'm with you. You watch Hard Knocks and you watch him play the last 3 years. We've seen him play so much. He seems to have everything that you'd ever want. The team in this division that I think it's such a stub the toe way to start the year with the injury to J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota. They were going to play him as the number one quarterback in the joint practices with the Browns last week when they were up in Cleveland, Max. And so they had high hopes for him, and now they're spinning it that like, it's a red shirt. We got our guy, but we're going to have to sit a year. It feels like kind of a year stuck in the mud for Minnesota in that sense. What do you make of that roster? And I guess, what did you make of McCarthy as a prospect?
Yeah, I like J.J. McCarthy. I think the thing I like the most for him is his landing spot. I mean, we talk about how good Chicago is as a landing spot. I actually think it's the second best landing spot for any rookie quarterback this year. I think Minnesota's number one. Where I think Minnesota, what they have in Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the world. Jordan Addison is a very, very good number two receiver. T.J. Hawkinson is one of the best tight ends in the league. They have two outstanding offensive tackles in Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill protecting him as well. Kevin O'Connell is a great offensive-minded head coach as well, something that the Bears don't have because obviously Matt Eberflus is a defensive guy. Mm-hmm. And then I think they have some pieces defensively I like as well, especially guys like Jonathan Grenard, drafting Dallas Turner as well. I think it really is unfortunate because I think JJ was in a spot where he looked great in that one preseason game as well too. So I thought Sam Darnold would open the year as a starter, but I thought JJ was going to be able to take it over pretty quickly. But now, unfortunately, you're probably stuck with Darnold for the entire season. I am curious to see this is by far the best situation Darnold's ever had in his career as well. So maybe he could do a little bit in there and see if maybe he can get like a job afterwards somewhere else. But it does stink, where I really was excited to see J.J. McCarthy in this offense where I thought, again, like I said before, he was really set up nicely to succeed immediately. But unfortunately, now we got to wait till year two to see that.
Talking to Max Chadwick, PFF college football analyst, co-host of the PFF College Football Show. Lots going on at PFF right now. Fantasy draft season, all the expert rankings for your draft. Get it locked in. The mock draft simulator, PFF. Lots of cool in-season content as well. They're the best. Max, I'll get you out of here in this one. I got to do a college football one for you. From a roster standpoint, it feels to me like Ohio State, Georgia, and Oregon are separate. Is that fair from your guys' perspective? And if not, who else is kind of in that category or right there? Is it Texas? Who is it?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think those are the pretty clear top three for me. I have Ohio State actually winning it all this year over Georgia. So I think the Buckeyes are really, it's like they built the Avengers, man. It's crazy what they did. Bringing back all the players they brought back and bringing in all the players they brought in, recruiting and portal-wise, they really killed it. So I think this is the year for Ryan Day to finally get over the hump and do it. So I think Ohio State, and like you mentioned, Georgia has the best coach in the country, best quarterback in the country, and one of the best, if not the best roster in the country. And then Oregon might have the best offense in college football and then a really good defense as well. So I think those are the clear top three. If you wanted a fourth one that I think could really surprise a lot of people this year, my number 4 team is Ole Miss, actually. I think Ole Miss is right behind Oregon in terms of offense, and then they really improved the defense with the transfer portal, adding guys like Princely Monbielin and Walter Nolan and other guys as well. So I do think it's a pretty clear top three of Ohio State, Georgia, and Oregon, but I'll throw in Ole Miss as my number 4 team right now.
Oh, my God. Lane Kiffin in the Final Four. That'd be a scene, man. I'd love to see that happen. Max, good stuff. Appreciate you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Max Chadwick, PFF college football analyst, co-host of the PFF College Football Show on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. I like that line. It's like they built the Avengers. We'll hit Thing or Not a Thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
We're dealing at Reichert Nissan. Hundreds of Nissans in stock, on the ground, and priced to sell fast. Low lease payments on brand new Reichert Nissan Sentras, only $219 a month. Now we're really dealing. With our lowest prices and 72-hour exchange policy, you can't buy the wrong car. Visit the Reichert Mega Mall off 270 and 33, or shop thousands of new and certified used at ReichertNissan.com. Get the right car at Reichert. We're dealing.
With approved credit. 2024 Sentra SV FWD 36-month lease with $3,000 due at signing. Offer ends 9/3/24.
August may seem like the end of summer. It also means the beginning of a lot of things, like back to school, festivals, football. At Buckeye Lake Marina, it means the August savings days are upon us. Get huge discounts on all of the new and used boats that they didn't sell. Every pontoon, tri-toon, sport boats, even fishing boats are ready for you. Save thousands on demo models that have been used all summer to show off amazing features. Some have never even been in the water. Take advantage of the August savings days at Buckeye Lake Marina. Their summer hours continue through the entire month of August. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com for details.
The super sale is back this Friday and Saturday only at Meijer. Shop for sports, family dinners, or get-togethers, and find super low prices on favorites like Halo Mandarins for 99 cents, boneless center cut half pork loin for $1.79 per pound, and Body Armor or Powerade sports drinks for 88 cents each. Shop super low Meijer prices while supplies last, and get the same prices in-store and online. Shop the Meijer Super Sale this Friday and Saturday only. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store and in the Meijer app.
Excuse me, waiter. There's a hair in my soup. A long purple hair.
I'm so sorry. I'll get the manager.
I'm the manager. How can I help?
Wait, weren't you the Plum Insurance mascot?
What gave it away? My long purple fur?
Something like that.
What if all insurance companies were like NJM and were known for putting their policyholders first, not gimmicks? Then all those insurance mascots would have to get real jobs.
I'll pass on dessert.
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM.
Do you feel that? The season is getting closer. Buckeye football comes your way in 8 days. Every game, every season. Proud to be your flagship home for Ohio State football. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Coming this Labor Day weekend, Bob's biggest challenge yet. It's time to dare to compare. It's got action. It's got suspense. It's got beeps and boops and dings and whomps and more savings than you'll believe on living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, mattresses, and more. And best of all, you get to play too this Labor Day weekend. Now open in Reynoldsburg and coming soon to Polaris. See how much you can save this Labor Day weekend when you dare to compare at a Bob's near you.
More and more people are falling into problem gambling. Mary Haven's experts offer comprehensive care. You and your loved ones can count on mental, emotional, and financial guidance.
Confidential and judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today.
Hi, I'm Joanna Williams, General Manager at Tansky Sawmill Toyota, and this month 0% financing is back by popular demand on the 2024 Toyota Tundra for 48 months. But hurry in before they're gone. Visit TanskySawmillToyota.com for details. And when you think Toyota, think Tansky with approved credit, tax title, and $250 doc fee not included. Offer ends August 30th.
Think Toyota. Think Tansky. Think Tansky.
Did you and your family lose Ohio Medicaid and need health coverage? Check this out. You may be eligible to enroll in a low-cost health plan at healthcare.gov. With the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov offers quality plans that cover doctor visits, prescriptions, emergency care, and more. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, Bobby Carpenter here from Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric. We save our customers tons of money and frustration by simply inspecting their sewer, water, and drain lines with our high-tech cameras before there's a problem. Check us out at carpentercolumbus.com. That's carpentercolumbus.com.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. After putting up with Tom Tiberi for a decade, the broadcast gods gave Bo these two. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
All right. I saw these two tweets right next to each other yesterday, and I just wanted to relay them to you. So these are both about Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte's announcement yesterday. First one from friend of the program, Brandon Marcello. Chris Del Conte jokes in an announcement in Houston that Texas A&M is moving to a neutral site game in Dallas. Everybody puckered up in the room, as Del Conte says. The game will remain on Texas and Texas A&M's campuses. Joe Cook, also there, says Chris Del Conte just joked about the game between Texas and Texas A&M was going to be at a neutral site. It was a joke. It was a joke. The game isn't moving, he adds, but you could hear a pin drop in the room when he said it. Thing or not a thing?
So the first thing I think of this is it makes me wonder if Texas fans don't love Red River in Dallas. Because maybe they just hate the neutral side of it. And maybe, it's such a special game. I've never been to it. It's certainly a bucket list game that I want to go to, is a game at the Cotton Bowl when Texas plays Oklahoma. But we've heard Oklahoma people talk about that. And I wonder if there's and I've heard Kirby Smart talk about that at Georgia. We'd like to bring the cocktail party on campus once and play Florida in Athens. So while there's these traditional things that are done, that reaction of aghast of oh my God, don't do that. These two finally get to play each other again. It's got to be on campus. Makes me wonder if maybe if you're a fan of one of those teams that plays a neutral site game, if there's fatigue of having to go somewhere else to play a game that you'd like to have on campus.
Yeah, it felt like maybe he was trying to slow roll that out there. What would we think about that? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding, guys. Yeah, the neutral site games like that suck. I would be, and again, no dog in the fight, but if they move the Red River, can't call it a shootout, play in Austin, then play in Norman, and back and forth you go. Ohio State and Michigan don't play anywhere else. They play on their home sites. Those games need to happen with the college atmosphere, not at the Texas State Fair.
Well, now I've been to the cocktail party and it's awesome.
It's
great.
They've been around the game.
Everything around the game's awesome. The two fan bases just take over Jacksonville, and then it's split orange and blue, red and white. It's awesome. It's really cool. But again, I don't have a dog in the fight in that I wasn't rooting for either of the teams.
And both that and Red River have been around long enough that they've kind of developed their own game day culture around them. Whereas if you just made a new one, like the Arkansas Texas A&M one they play in Jerry World, that has none of that feel.
None of it. No, those two are unique. I think Cocktail and Red River are unique.
But yeah, keep A&M and keep Texas playing at home. Do it home and home.
Each other.
That's a rivalry that I'm very glad is back. And it was, I forget which athletic director. It was Texas A&M's athletic. I don't want to throw shade at Ross Bjork, but when he was saying that, we're not interested in having Texas join the SEC, and it's okay, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, good job. Sorry, Ross.
Yeah, he takes some strays from time to time. That's fine. He's
the Seattle Mariners.
He's got a great jacket on today. I promise you that.
Do you think he has the right
And he's got several right
ready to go?
Yes, I think he's at the point now where every jacket is the right. They're all the right jacket.
You can't be wearing any blue because that's kind of an Akron-y color. All right. The Seattle Mariners fired manager Scott Servais on Thursday. That's not really the thing. But the news leaked out several hours before Servais was scheduled to meet with the Mariners general manager. Adam Jude of the Seattle Times reported Scott Servais learned of his firing this morning from a breaking news alert on social media.
Oh, geez.
This was hours before he was supposed to have that final meeting where the firing was supposed to take place. Seattle 64-64 on the season, 5.5 games back of the Astros in the AL West. The Mariners have made the postseason only once in his 9 seasons as skipper there. Thing or not a thing?
Well, what I'm curious about is how loose the Mariners front office is that happened. Because being familiar with the way that the Browns operate, It's ironclad. Like there's nothing's getting out. There are no leaks. I mean, unless they want it leaked, there's no leaks. So how loose is that operation that this could get out to the point where it's a breaking news report? That's wild to me. It almost feels like it would be personal. It's like they would want him to find out via not face to face, which that's wild for a guy who's been in a place for 9 years.
And in a weird way, it almost like feels better if it is personal, because if it's not, it's like they either something's really wrong with the Mariners or they just don't respect the guy at all. But you're right, with 9-year tenure, that doesn't seem it. So something's wrong with the information and holding it in Seattle, and that's pretty embarrassing for a major league club. It's one thing when a player who finds out he was traded via a news dump, because you're dealing with so many more guys on an entire roster. You're dealing with another team, so the news can get leaked from that side possibly. There's a lot of different factors. But for your manager or your coach in other sports, that should be totally in-house, and he should be the first to know that before it gets out to the media. So do better, Mariners. That's pretty bad. And I don't know this guy at all. It's not that I care about him personally. It's just like, that seems like one you got to keep it, because it also goes on, like, now it's on your track record. Now people are going to be suspicious of your front office when they come into interviews for new GM, new head coach, new manager, all that kind of stuff. Sports TV ratings, they posted this prediction on Twitter yesterday. A reminder, NFL ratings are extremely likely to be down a little this year, no matter what else is going on, simply because the full season of Monday Night Football will not be simulcast on ABC as it was last season. So some of the strike stuff coming back around for the NFL. Thing or not a thing?
I don't know why ABC would not do it. I know they're the same company, but, one thing that they do as a company is, like, they will throw ESPN primary, and then they will get on the secondary, you're going to get the Manning cast and all that. So, like, they've long counted, like, the total viewers and are cool with it. Why would you not put Monday Night Football on ABC? Your numbers will be higher. Why would you hold it just for ESPN?
And it feels
What's the
like
point of that?
The Bachelor can be on another night.
You could throw that on the Disney Plus thing and have the Hulu, have it there. It feels like it would save them money on production.
And actually, I think Peacock has done a great job of showing that, like, if you have a streaming service, make it available. Everywhere that you have it, make it available. That's all people want, is that if they think it's on your network, one of the things associated with your network, or all of them, have access to it. Because that's what's nice about Peacock, at least, is you click on it and the sports that are on NBC or the Big Ten, anything like that, it's right there.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's strange. It's an odd choice to me that they would choose to do that. And I think a big thing. I think you'd put it everywhere. Get the biggest rating that you can get and the most people watching it on all of your platforms. Final hour of the week coming up next. What we learned this week, and Desmond Howard said, what? We'll get to that. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rockman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
0% up to 48 months on 2024 and 25 new Lindsay Hondas.
That's zero, zip, zilch, nada.
This August, Lindsay has unbelievable savings by offering 0% up to 4 years on every Honda on the lot. Lindsay has over 500 vehicles.
If we don't have it, it doesn't exist.
Plus, talk to us about electric options with up to $97.27 and combined savings with dealer and federal tax credits.
LindsayHonda.com or I-70 in Bryce Road.
With approved credit on select in-stock 24-25 Honda models. Dealer contribution may affect consumer cost.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Let's talk about your sleep, specifically if you're not getting enough of it. If you're feeling groggy all day because you didn't sleep well, that is an awful feeling. I've been there. And if you're snoring when you sleep, well, that could be a big reason why you aren't feeling rested. This fact surprised even me the first time I heard it, and that is, as you age, your risk of having obstructive sleep apnea nearly doubles. That's right. You need to find out if your snoring is related to sleep apnea, because if it is, there's actually help available for you right now. Dr. Mark Levy is board certified in the treatment of sleep apnea, and he offers a custom-fitted oral appliance that effectively treats sleep apnea. I have been telling you about this for years. And maybe you've been snoring for years. Now's the time to get this fixed. Plus, most Medicare patients have little to no out-of-pocket costs for this treatment. So you need to stop putting it off. Don't ignore your snore. Get your sleep apnea treated by calling Dr. Mark Levy today at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. Get the life back you deserve. Call Dr. Mark Levy today, 1-800-MORE-SLEEP, or visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com.
When there's a United Dairy Farmers nearby, special savings are too. Stop by while energy drinks are buy two, get one free. Monster, Celsius, Red Bull, and more for less. Only with UDrive Plus at UDF.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
Need assistance with door and window projects? The Home Depot can help. From inspiration and materials to ordering and installation, our free millwork virtual apron service can get you moving and doing. Plus, we speak Spanish too. Our associates can help you tackle complex jobs without you leaving the job site, saving you time and money. Call us at 1-833-HD-APRON or visit homedepot.com/MBA. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Be Honest Bespoke Skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The high school football season is here. The Fan's high school football game of the week is at Pickerington Central tonight as the Tigers host Harvest Prep at 7 p.m. Following that game, Ryan Baker and Lee Cochran will have final scores and updates from around the area on high school football overtime. The college football season begins tomorrow, sort of. It's week 0. It features number 10 Florida State and Georgia Tech playing in Dublin, Ireland tomorrow at noon. Number 2 Ohio State's got 8 days until the start of their season. Buckeyes host Akron next Saturday at 3:30. In the NFL, the Browns wrap up their preseason tomorrow night in Seattle against the Seahawks. You can hear that one on the Fan Saturday night at 10 o'clock. The Bengals finished up last night in a 27-14 loss to the Colts. And in baseball, the Guardians are back in Cleveland for a weekend series with the Rangers tonight at 7:10. Reds continue in Pittsburgh against the Pirates at 6:40. And in the minors, the Clippers continue a homestand against Indianapolis at 7:05. Breaking sports news when it happens on the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Pull up a stool and ask the bartender for something neat because Uncle Bo is on the radio. This is Bishop and Friends.
Earlier this morning, I put on Twitter, best high school football player you've ever seen. It's been fun to read the responses as we've done the show. This struck me funny. 2 responses at the exact same time or within 30 seconds of each other to the tweet. Jan writes, Orlando Pace, not even close. Mark Sexton writes, Andy Katzenmoyer, and it's not even close. And guess what? They're both probably right. They're both probably right. And one just popped up on top of that. Mike Doss, not even close. So, like, in the world you're in, it's not even close. Desmond Howard is an Ohioan. It is well documented. He's a Cleveland kid. He was on Get Up this morning, Reese, with our buddy Paul Feinbaum, and he had this to say about the Ohio State situation.
Man, it's like this. I think the people in Ohio State just pushed all of their chips to the center of the table. They went and spent about $13 million on free agents, well, college football's version of free agency with the portal and NIL. Not only that, but some fans would say, well, if we got rid of Ryan Day, who would we hire? They went out and hired Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. So if things go awry, I think they have somebody who's behind Chip Kelly. I mean, behind Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, who they will, let's say, Chip Kelly can be the next coach too. So I think that Ryan Day, he's on the hot seat right now.
You got a little Brian Kelly, Chip Kelly mixed up there.
Here's my thing. He has been on College Game Day for a long time. It always has struck me interesting that Herbie, and anytime you get another Buckeye on an ESPN, whether it's Joey Galloway or any of those guys, they have to play it very, very straight, and they can't. Obviously, Kirk Herbstreit loves Ohio State, right? Loves it, but he can't lean into that, right? He's got to try to play straight, and sometimes to the criticism of fans around here that he plays it more straight than even some people would like. Desmond has been able to lean all in on the Michigan thing for the entire time he's been on that show, so much so that it's almost become a caricature, the way that he's done it. There is no retribution for it whatsoever. He can say whatever he wants. He's never held to any standard in terms of what he says. And the thing that he did just right there that's also stunning is, like, I'm going to give him a pass on the Brian Ryan thing. I think,
I think it was
he
a
knows
Chip
the difference,
Kelly,
but I
Brian
think
Kelly
here's the real
mix-up in his
problem.
head,
Here is
yeah.
this. This is the real problem. That take would take 6 seconds to realize that Chip Kelly was Ryan Day's mentor and dear friend. And that if something were to happen and Ryan were to, at some point, no longer be the coach at Ohio State, Chip wouldn't even take the job. Like, it's so uneducated on the situation here that you can just throw something so wild at the wall to see if it sticks. And the 13 million number is fascinating to me as well. I've never heard a 13 million number. And by the way, even if it was 130 million, who cares? That's the sport now. Like, that's a derogatory thing that they went and spent on NIL because they can? No. Yes, we did. We should. Lean in. It's Big State U. Go spend. This is the sport that we all chose to play. This is the rules of the game. But the lack of education on the Kelly-Ryan Day relationship and just throwing out a number that I don't think it fits any of the numbers I've been told, and I feel like I'm pretty plugged in on those things, is wild to me. And there's just no accountability where he's concerned. None.
No, it feels like he saw the Ryan Day hot seat, something like that would be a topic of discussion today, and just quickly said, ooh, wait, they hired Chip Kelly, and then he just took some leapfrogs and then didn't even look into it at all because, yeah, you mentioned all that stuff with Chip Kelly. And then also, if you're paying attention to the reporting on Chip, is he kind of wanted to get out of head coaching. Why would he want to be out of head coaching and then take over the Ohio State program? I don't even think it's a job he's interested in taking. He wanted to get back to being called plays, but as an offensive coordinator. So
none of it makes sense.
No, and they don't even really link up the two, that like, oh, they've hired this replacement, and then also the 13 million. I guess he's trying to say that there's more pressure under Ryan Day, but one, that number is out of context of what anybody else spends, and two, like you said, legal. Who cares? I've never understood this notion that buying a roster is now this huge sin. It really wasn't even a sin to me beforehand, because how do you think recruiting works? It's just the teams with better resources showing off. That's what it's always been.
It's always been.
It has never been this like super pure thing where everybody just wants to go play for Big State U in their state. There are those kind of players, but these top level players who want to go around and go on a bunch of official visits, they've always been wooed by the teams with the most resources. And now you're just able to put the resources into actual dollars.
Paul Feinbaum joins our show every Thursday.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's at 10:33. He'd made a comment yesterday about ESPN's when they do kind of their drive-by college football news and updates. And on shows like that. And so for the average college football fan who kind of is just doing a drive-by on what Ohio State's done this offseason, you see the Ryan Day go, oh, well, this is of interest to me. And they kind of throw the guy out there that's leaned into that Ohio State, dissenter gimmick that Desmond Howard's cultivated. Like, he's not. They've taken it, and it's, I think, a product of College Game Day that they just have these guys now have their gimmicks. Desmond Howard's got his gimmick. Pat McAfee's got a gimmick, and they lean into them instead of actually give you analysis that's insightful.
I just think there's a double standard with him and everybody else. I don't think anybody else is held to this. There is no standard for him. He goes on there and says anything he wants, and there seems to be no pushback. And he routinely is out of his depth on the sport. I mean, that happens on game day a lot, where you listen, I don't know, that ain't it, man. That ain't it. And that everything he just said there, it's just not it. It's not real in any way. Now, I'll give him this. The topic was, is Ryan Day on the hot seat? So that was to your point, Reese, of they were doing the drive-by college football thing. Let's do that. So that they were asked, they brought him on to do it, but I still think just everything he said just was from someone who you could spend 5 minutes on the internet and you could get the reality of all of those things versus the way that he spun it. So I don't know.
I also don't think Ohio State's the place that needs to hire a coach in waiting for that they might fire their coach. If Ohio State's job is open, they'll have the pick of the litter.
You don't hire a coach in waiting for a 40-year-old coach.
No, right? None of the whole plan doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense. No.
And anyway, it's Mike Vrabel. So
correct. So if you're going to have that topic, it would be far more applicable in Cleveland to the Vrabel point. if they wouldn't have just given, if he wasn't two-time coach of the year, all of those things, like they brought in Vrabel underneath him. So like, or, in that front office. So I think that's probably the one that had some, but like nonsense. What we learned this week, let's hit it.
We're not trying to do too much around here, but over the course of 5 days, you might have gleaned some stuff. Bishop and Friends present What We've Learned This Week.
This is probably one of the quieter weeks, and it's all because what's coming, I think, is next week, right? Week 1 is when you're going to get hit over the head with all of it. When you look back on the week, certainly the Blue Jackets had a couple of moments. The trade of Patrick Laine, the extension of Cole Sillinger. Those two things happened this week, and the reality of just kind of how this roster was mismanaged. We had Porty on earlier in the week, and he had that incredible anecdote about how they brought like their leaders, their veterans together after the 2020 season and basically said like, hey, what do we need to do here? And they said, you got to get Laine and Merzlikins out of here. You got to get them out of here. And instead they vaporized all those guys and kept them. So kind of a blind spot for Jarmo Kekalainen, and that certainly jumped out to me. One of the things I was most happy about was the notion of 4 captains at Ohio State. I like that. I like a manageable number of captains. Cody Simon winning the Block O as well. Got a chance to talk to him with his linebacker coach when we were at practice those first 2 days of camp, and really impressive young man, very impressive. So that one certainly stuck out as well this week.
Yeah, the Porty stuff also really took off from the show. There were a couple of the Columbus Blue Jackets beats that wrote about it, and it's interesting. You can still find our interview, our podcast. That would have been on Tuesday, or on our social channels. We posted on Twitter, 971BFS. But I was just excited that they were able to, for this front office, get out ahead of this, get that Laine money off the books, and move on from it. But we discussed during the time, because the poll question that day was the idea of, well, was this actually like a good trade for the Blue Jackets? It's one of those things where, judging the current front office, that they were just handed this as they came in, yes, it was a good trade. You got a player out of it. You didn't have to give too much off, and there you go. But if you go back all the way back to, and I was talking to Rothman about this yesterday, you can go all the way back to drafting PLD in the top 5, and that is the return on investment in the end. A defenseman, essentially. It was just an NHL player, no star or anything like that in Harris. That's a failure of the organization at large. But as far as what they did this week for the Blue Jackets, that was big. And then, the 4 captains. That was like our first few years here where the captains really started to balloon, like back when we were Bishop and Laurinaitis. They were like 8, and was there a 9 in there? But there were 7s and 8s almost every single year. And I like that they cut it, and I like 2 defense, 2 offense. You got guys on each side. And then Ryan Day said the coach thing that they all say, but it's important, and I think it helps guys when they hear it that, hey, just because you didn't win a captaincy doesn't mean you still can't be a leader on this team.
I saw some of the pushback for what Porty had said on our program. As well, Seth Jones wanted out, and that wasn't a product of that meeting. And it's like, well, it's very plausible that because of that meeting and several other things with the front office and the coaching staff that season for the Blue Jackets, Seth Jones and others could have just been like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of this now because you've not taken anything that we've said as a leadership committee. Like there's levels to that, where if you're a player that goes in, then sees the response to something where they ask for your opinion, like, I'm not going to be a part of this. Like, I'm not going to give my opinion anymore. I'm going to ask you to trade me or to get rid of me, please. And so I think that's what you saw with players because of that. And also, the front office said, all right, well, this clearly isn't working with you guys because we want these two, or we want to put emphasis on Laine and Merzlikins.
You mentioned the Seth Jones trade. I was trying to look back.
Because he wanted a bigger market.
So it was Seth to Chicago for a 2020 and a 2021 first, and then in return you got Boquist, a 2021 1, a 2021 2, and a 2022 1. This was the one that you had to decide when to take it, right? Like you had to decide when you were going to take the Blackhawks pick.
Yeah.
That's the way that it worked. There you go. This is. I think the other thing you learned about them this week is like this is going to be tough. Going to be a tough season for them as they try to build it once the right way. Reese, what are your blackouts? What was your problem?
Oh, I know that was the blackout rule.
That's
right. Blackout. The restrictions on watching games now, and the idea that we're in 2024 with ability to watch so many different things from so many different places. If we're paying for it, please just let us have it. Like, you're not going to grow the game of baseball by not allowing people in Columbus who don't want to pay $20 to a failing app and a failing company in Bally Total Fitness Sports. We buy Jeff Bezos. I give you several of my dollars every month to utilize your free shipping and products. Just let me watch the Guardians, please.
It's crazy to me that, like, the blackout restrictions were something meant to drive people to the stadium who lived in the market. And they've extended those radii to cover anybody who can get the RSN for that team. And that pricing model just doesn't make any sense. You want people to have it conveniently available at any given time on their TV because you want them to watch the more eyeballs. You're selling the eyeballs, not the subscription that the people who have the eyeballs are buying.
That's exactly right.
I'd give Jeff Bezos more of my money if I could get every single Cleveland Guardians game on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing that out there now. I know I'm not alone.
It's also absurd that Columbus is somehow held to a blackout standard in Cleveland.
Like, we're supposed to go to
like you can't get Pirates games because of that blackout restriction.
You're going to go to 81, drive 2 hours up to Cleveland and go to 81 Guardians games. And if I could only watch them, otherwise I'd do it. I mean, just ridiculous. Week 0 is here. My beloved ponies are in action on Saturday night. Get you set for that. Coming up next, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Big voice guy here to remind you that you're listening to The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Okay, thanks. I have 3 more seconds. Bye-bye.
Moolah, greenbacks dough, Skrilla chips, bread and mo. 2, 5, 10, and 20, 30 big ones, games aplenty. Cheddar, butter, loot and scratch, find the letters, make the match, cause there's many words for cash, no doubt, many ways to play cash word. Check 'em out. Cash word from Ohio Lottery. It's game time, yo. Cash word, it's fun to go with millions in prizes, don't you know? Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
The Super Sale is back this Friday and Saturday only at Meijer. Shop for sports, family dinners, or get-togethers, and find super low prices on favorites like Halo Mandarins for 99 cents, boneless center-cut half pork loin for $1.79 per pound, and Body Armor or Powerade sports drinks for 88 cents each. Shop super low Meijer prices while supplies last, and get the same prices in-store and online. Shop the Meijer Super Sale this Friday and Saturday only. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store and in the Meijer app.
Bob's Discount Furniture is coming to Polaris, and Bob's Discount Furniture wants you to win big this football season. It's easy. Get online and go to 971thefan.com to register to win a $1,000 gift card to Bob's Discount Furniture, so you can watch your favorite football team sitting in your new Bob's recliner or couch this season. Wow. That's $1,000 from Bob's Discount Furniture. All you have to do is register to win on the fans contest page at 971thefan.com. Hurry, contest ends Wednesday, August 28th. See complete contest details online at 971thefan.com.
Now at Menards, save big money on everything for your next project. For 65 years, Menards has been the destination for post-frame buildings. Whether it's used for protecting equipment or you just need a place to keep your toys, Menards has a post-frame building for you. Get a free estimate fast, in-store, or on menards.com. Plus, check out the weekly flyer for other great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
We don't talk politics on The Fan. It's divisive, fear-stoking, and negative. That's what our social media is for. Or your crazy uncle's house, or the grocery store, or you get my point. The Fan, Ohio's politics-free destination.
This is the White Castle Call of the Crave, and it's telling you to come in now for 10 cheese sliders for just $7.99. 10 cheese sliders for just $7.99. Boom! White Castle. Follow your crave. Limited time only, tax not included.
One thing about us parents, we think we know what's in, but we're usually way off. That's why I take my kids to Great Clips for back-to-school haircuts. From fresh fades to beachy waves, they can use the online lookbook to find the cuts they want at prices I can't resist. Plus, with convenient online check-in, we save tons of time, too. I may never know what's cool again, but hey, with back-to-school haircuts at Great Clips, I don't have to. Download the app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
It's the summer sell down at Performance. Get up to $16,000 off MSRP on new 24 Jeep Wranglers and Grand Cherokees during the Make This the Summer of Jeep event. Performance, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Georgesville, and Delaware.
Not valid on previous sales. Cannot combine offers. Must take delivery from dealer stock 8/20 to 8/31/24.
Did you and your family lose Ohio Medicaid and need health coverage? Check this out. You may be eligible to enroll in a low-cost health plan at healthcare.gov. With the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov offers quality plans that cover doctor visits, prescriptions, emergency care, and more. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking at more warm weather this afternoon. Highs in the mid-80s. Humidity stays low, meaning it will still be comfortable, but warm. Sunshine all day long. Will be clear tonight. Temperature down to around 60. Up in the upper 80s, near 90 Saturday, with mostly sunny skies. Partly cloudy, more humid, and 91 on Sunday. That's your latest 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
If you love a good pie analogy,
think of the cap as a pie, and once you take out one piece, there's less left for the next guy.
Then this is the radio show for you. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Well, if you're like me and many men out there suffering from low testosterone, with just a couple of weeks, you can feel that return of energy. The brain fog will go away. The sleep will improve. Your workouts are going to be more productive. Even your sex drive will be significantly enhanced. It can happen for you if you suffer from low testosterone, if you go see my friends at the Tri-State Men's Health. They're experts in treating low T, other men's sexual health conditions as well. They've successfully treated many men for low T, including myself. Men have seen amazing differences that those treatments can make in their life. Early to mid-30s, guys start losing 2-3% of their testosterone production every single year. It happens gradually, and before you know it, you don't feel like the same man that you did in the 20s or 30s, and that is where Tri-State Men's Health comes into play. They will help you on this. Go take the low T quiz on the website, tristatemenshealth.com. If the symptoms apply to you, you just schedule a consult with Tri-State Men's Health. They're going to do your lab work, have your results in about 30 minutes. The cost of that is $99, but if you sign up for one of their treatments, that consult is going to be free. Give them a call, 800-900-9654. Visit tristatemenshealth.com today. 2 locations here in town. Quick exit off 270 in Hilliard and near Medical Mile in Westerville as well. This is, look, I'm excited. It's week 0. There's going to be college football. I'm going to care more about it than I would if any of these games were played next week. Now, I have personal ties here. I covered Florida State. Montana State's playing at New Mexico, and then my beloved Ponies are playing at 8 o'clock at Nevada. But here is something that I am curious about. What is the point of week 0 if you're not going to play some hits? Why isn't there a banger week 0? Wouldn't a banger week 0 annihilate from a rating standpoint if there was just one great game? If
Clemson,
it was
Georgia on Saturday night. Yeah.
I mean, hell, you got Florida State playing Georgia Tech. Even if it was FSU Clemson playing it, that's more of a late game. But I mean, you could do the Clemson Georgia one's a perfect example. Go to week 1, pull one of those games out. College football soft launching its season is such a strange thing to me. Normally, we get these type of things right in the sport we love the most, but this is such a soft launch to the season. I have a hard time understanding it. I mean, to not have one banger is kind of stupid, quite honestly.
I wonder if there are people also who aren't as in tune with college football who see this and just see this weird little slate of games, and do they wonder if it's preseason or like what is, because it doesn't have the festivity that the actual week 1 in college football gets. And leading up to it, you're watching NFL preseason, because the NFL, they do a great job of playing the hits. They always put the Super Bowl champion against one of their better opponents that is matched up on their roster for the year. This year, if you don't know, it's Chiefs, of course, Super Bowl champions, and they're playing the Ravens. That's awesome. Where's the Chiefs Ravens in week 0?
We're going to get that PIF money.
For. And at least a Big Ten game for me. The last few years, we've had at least one Big Ten team. in action. None this week.
If the Saudis will sponsor Colorado, then make them that. And then just do like Colorado-Utah week 1. Brought to you by the
PIF.
PIF.
There are
in Saudi Arabia.
A bunch of really fun games in week 1, like USC LSU is on Sunday night. That's exciting. Florida State's taking full advantage of this. So they'll have College Game Day in Dublin tomorrow at noon for that game against Georgia Tech. So they're going to have that. That's the best game, and I say that very loosely. And then Monday night on Labor Day night, they host Boston College. So they're going to get 2 windows where they kind of own it. It's a good job out of the Noles of having like a Monday night all to themselves and the first weekend of the season.
They're playing week 1 too?
Yeah, they play week 1 at home against Boston College on Monday night. So they're getting
They have 3 buys this year?
I don't know. Maybe they do. I haven't looked at the schedule that closely. But you could have taken, a week from Sunday, because they always do that one. So that's smart. They got USC LSU a week from Sunday. That game's then. Saturday night, you got ABC on ABC. You got Notre Dame and Texas A&M. You mentioned Georgia and Clemson. That's a fun one. Miami and Florida is playing in week 1 as well. There are a ton of games. Like a great one. Honestly, this is probably the best example of this, where you don't have to play the biggest hit. You don't have to play Clemson and Georgia. You don't have to play Texas A&M and Michigan. Who did I just say? Texas A&M and Notre Dame. You don't have to play that. You can save those for week 1. But like Penn State, West Virginia.
Minnesota's playing
Saturday
North Carolina. I'd even take that on a week 0.
Penn State, West Virginia on Saturday night at 8 o'clock in week 0 would be a monster game.
So I'm looking at Florida State's schedule, and because of this week 0 matchup in Ireland, and then you get the extra week, but it's already a 2-bye week year. They have a bye in like each third of their season. So they play on September 2nd and then the 14th. Then later in the year, they play on 10-5 and then not again until 10-18, so that must be a non-Saturday game, but it's still 2 weeks apart. And then they have one in November where they go from 11-9 to 11-23. So that sets up pretty nicely for them, a team that has some high expectations, but obviously replacing Jordan Travis with DJU.
It's kind of smart scheduling.
Don't take it week 1 just because you traveled over there. Put another game there in Boston College. They should be better than that. And then take your bye and then, set it up for yourself. That's why a lot of teams do go for it. It's because they get that extra bye built in. And the week 0 exists because of Hawaii. That's why it's always a game at Hawaii. That's where it started, so that you can build in an extra bye for an extra opponent to get out to Hawaii, because they always need a bye on either side of the week. Teams prefer that if they're going all the way out to Hawaii. And then other teams have just latched onto it. But why not? Now it's official. People are calling it week 0. People are advertising it as week 0. So, why doesn't a bigger entity attach to it and say, why are we letting Aer Lingus in Ireland take everything for this weekend when we could sponsor something? And you could treat it like a bowl game, essentially, as long as it doesn't get fully infiltrated by the schedule. Treat it like a bowl game and get a huge sponsor on it.
Well, I do think we're going to have a completely different conversation this time next year, because part of me thinks in 2026 this will be week 1.
Well, I said that earlier in the week. I made the case for that. One of the opening segments earlier in this week, I think it was Mondays, made the case of when I laid out the new schedule and said, look, you just have to make this week 1. This solves a lot of the problems. And then Paul echoed it on Thursday when I asked him about it. So there is movement that this will get. But to your point, Reese, it won't be until 2026 that you take full advantage of it. But honestly, like if I'm Ryan Day, even next year, I'm looking at playing a week 0 game and then giving me those extra bye. Next year, you could have 2 buys.
If I get a bye in October and a bye in November, it'd be solid.
Yeah.
And honestly, what's the difference between playing Western Michigan this week or playing them in 3 weeks?
None. If we're playing Akron, play Akron. Play them tomorrow. And then put a bye week in October and put a bye week into November, because next year you're only going to have 1 bye. You won't have 2 because of the way the calendar works. I'd like to have a bye in October if I'm Ryan Day. I'd like to have a bye. Give me a bye in November, too. Going into the Michigan game, give me a bye. I'll take it. That's fine. Give me it. I think you're going to see more creativity until they get to where we all think they're going to get, where week 0 will be week 1. I'm going to watch all of this, though. I mean, and I've got personal connection to everything except the Delaware State, Hawaii, other than the fact that I've been to the Hawaii campus. But I got nothing there. But I'll be interested to see how SMU does in the 8 o'clock. That's a CBS Sports Network game. Montana State against New Mexico. The Cats could get them, baby. Could get them. That's at 4 o'clock on FS1. Montana State really good. I think they're top 5 in 1AA. That'll be a fun game. And then the noon game, Florida State and Georgia Tech. DJU the experience at Florida State. The idea that he went Clemson, Oregon State, Florida State, and started at all three. What a wild career. You know what? On that end, I just was reminded of this. One of the guys who was telling, Joe Hayden was talking about this when I was at Browns camp last week. He said guys are now getting tattoos for, like, if they played in two places, they get 2 tattoos. So, like, DJ would have 3 if he got tatted up,
because they're still very attached to where they were at college. And
Caleb Williams did that in Hard Knocks. He said horns down and fight on.
Well, and like Joe Burrow has said it, like, I went to school at Ohio State. I played football at LSU. And it's like, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of these guys end up with degrees from some of the schools that they might not have starred for.
Dylan Gabriel's going to have 3 degrees by the time he's done with all of this.
He'll be a doctor.
He will be. Doug coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Ready. This Ohio State football training camp report is brought to you locally on The Fan by Weber Grills.
Ohio State football. Training camp report.
This report is brought to you statewide by Safelite Auto Glass and Bob's Discount Furniture. There's a lot of reason to be excited about the coming season for Ohio State, not the least of which is the additions they made through the transfer portal. Safety Caleb Downs, after a decorated freshman year at Alabama, decided to change addresses following Nick Saban's retirement. And he talks about why Ohio State.
I knew a lot of those guys during recruitment, and I had like small relationships with them just because of talking to them, going on visits. So a lot of them were with me for my OVs, so I feel like I had a pretty good relationship with some of them coming in. And then just the knowledge that the team is going to be so strong and so collected together just because the guys had been around each other so long. So I feel like that's always a plus to know that you're walking into a real brotherhood and a real team.
We'll have more right after this.
At Bob's Discount Furniture, when you find a complete dining set that seats 6 and comes with an extendable leaf for only $5.99.
Oh my, Bob.
And a sofa that doubles as a chaise, and a bed, and storage like my Playscape for only $9.99.
Oh my, Bob.
And a queen mattress with world-famous Babapedic memory foam and an 18-year warranty like my Treasure for only $7.99.
Oh my, Bob.
Well, there's only one thing to say.
Oh my, Bob.
Bob's Discount Furniture, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
As safety Caleb Downs prepares to make his debut for Ohio State after transferring from Alabama, he talks about what the differences are being within the Buckeye defense as opposed to how they played it with the Crimson Tide.
The different ways that they play defense here is they have different techniques and different views on how to play defense than they did at Alabama. It's a different type of system. They coach it different, and then just the coaching from the DBs is different. So you get to learn in different views and different perspectives. So I feel like if you know different things and you can pick from which ones you want to play from, I feel like that makes you a more well-rounded player.
Of course, Downs is joining a talented and experienced secondary that includes Lathan Ransom, Denzel Burke, Davison Igbinosun, and Jermaine Matthews. There's even some chatter, given the low numbers of scholarship running backs, that if need be, Downs could get an opportunity to carry the ball for Ohio State. The season opener for the Buckeyes is August 31st against Akron. This is Paul Keels, and you're listening to the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
The drums bang, the flame sparks, the trumpets blow, the hot dogs sizzle, the crowd cheers, the fans eat. The sounds of Buckeye football are synonymous with the best damn band in the land in the stadium and the Weber Grills outside the stadium. Weber is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. To celebrate another season, Weber is launching a limited edition Ohio State grill, inspired by our Buckeye helmets. Get the best damn grill in the land at Ohio area retailers near you ahead of the football season.
Hey, Buckeye fans, Paul Keels here for my other favorite nation, Window Nation. I just scored some new windows from Window Nation. What an amazing difference. Can't wait to start saving on those energy bills. Right now, they have an incredible offer just for Ohio State fans. Receive 2 windows free with every 2 you buy. Plus, put 0 down, make 0 payments with 0% interest for 2 years. Watch your Buckeyes in comfort this season with new windows from Window Nation. Call today at 866-90-NATION or visit them online at windownation.com. Tell them Paul sent you.
Hey, it's Bobby. When it comes to tackling your
project as important as your roof, you want a company that cares about the product and experience they're going to deliver. At Newman Roofing, you're more than just a number. They believe in 100% customer satisfaction. And for your roofing needs, give them a call at 614-NEW-ROOF or newmanroofing.com.
Integrity, honesty, and quality. Words we live by here at Monogram Homes. Hi, this is Dina. And at Monogram Homes, we strive to bring your wants to your man cave, your needs to your kitchen, and your ideas to life. Most home builders claim to be custom, but starting with stock floor plans and templates isn't our idea of a tailored experience. At Monogram Homes, we start with a blank slate and work with you until you get exactly what you want. So start your true custom home journey today with a builder you can trust. Monogram Homes. Visit us online at monogramhomes.net.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here from my friends at High Bank Distillery Co., located right here in Columbus. Introducing their newest product, 614 Vodka, Ohio's house vodka. Perfect to make a drink at home or try when you're out at your favorite local restaurant. Learn more at 614vodka.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
If you say something with enough confidence, it must be true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, Friday, 11:30. Time to check in with our good buddy Doug Lesmerises, the podcast, Kings of Columbus, Kings of the North as well, on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. All right, this has kind of been the theme of the day because high school football starts tonight. Most of us in this business started covering high school at some point or were around it, certainly. Who is the best high school football player you ever saw in person?
Oh, man. So I was not covering, like, great high school teams back in the day when I started off. I covered a backfield in Valparaiso, Indiana, where one of the guys wound up going to the Air Force Academy and playing for them, and I thought that was, like, pretty good. I don't know if I saw a superstar. I mean, I did when Zach Harrison was in high school in one of the Olentangy high schools. He played the high school that I live within shouting distance of, Westerville Central, and he was 8 inches taller than everybody else on the field. And I was like, oh, yeah, that guy's going to Ohio State. So, like, it was like Zach Harrison was a guy who you noticed on the field for sure.
Well, the one constant theme is that when you see one of those, you know it all day. That's kind of the thing.
I went to a Terrell Pryor high school game on a night when Jim Tressel and a bunch of the Ohio State coaches were there. And it was like, I cannot believe that this is happening. He looks like he's going, like it was a stud against guys who were just grasping at his ankles. So the Terrell Pryor in high school, man, wowza.
It was funny. I think I don't know if people give credit for it, but he was kind of the LeBron James of high school football for a time. Like the way he was recruited, the way that he was renowned.
I mean, there's, again, alternate universes. You and I have talked about the world where Braxton Miller becomes Lamar Jackson, like the world where Terrell Pryor becomes Cam Newton. Like there's paths for some of these guys. That Ohio State's had some supremely talented guys at quarterback that when it came to the NFL, it just didn't quite hit, But at that moment, Terrell Pryor was like, oh, this is why the entire country's recruiting him, because this guy's unbelievable.
All right, here's one for you. Why are we slow playing week 0 in college football? I mean, this slate, how do we not have one banger tomorrow, Doug?
Yeah, so obviously, I'm focusing on Northern football. I'm ignoring it. There's nothing. There's really, I can't get myself there on Georgia Tech, Florida State. So I don't know. But how far away are we from 6 games all over the globe? We're doing a little dalliance with Ireland. Why is there not one game in Japan, one game in Paris, one game in Ireland, one game in Hawaii, one game in South America, Mexico City? I don't know. Because even the days, right, when they used to play the kickoff classic in East Rutherford, New Jersey or something. Sure. I'm a little surprised they're not leaning into this more. And this is kind of a weak. I mean, Northwestern Nebraska a couple years ago wasn't exactly a banger in Ireland. But I know next year Iowa State, Kansas State, I think is playing in Ireland to open the year. So, yeah, I don't know. Money's going to get us there, Bo, isn't it? Isn't money going to get us to 5 week 0 bangers at some point?
I think the whole schedule is going to be week 0, and by 2026 is my theory that we're going to start. Okay. Week 0 is going to be week 1 by 2026 because you got to get away from the NFL if you're college football, and that would allow you to play most of your schedule, your playoff in December versus we're January 20th. So to me, week 0 will be week 1. Did you see you talk about Northern football, Colorado qualifies there. Did you see Coach Prime trying to go to the PIF? You mentioned playing all over the globe. Maybe Saudi Arabia is a location for the Buffaloes to play.
Listen, man, whatever, you got to get money from somebody. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if the Saudis bought golf, I don't know. Are we going to sell college? I hope not. I hope that's not where we wind up. But it is one of those where innovation in college football gets mocked sometimes, and then right after you're mocking it, you look up 6 months later and everybody is doing it. Kind of happened with Jim Harbaugh and satellite camps. It's why is Michigan having a recruiting camp in Alabama and he's taking his shirt off? And 3 months later, everybody in the North was having a recruiting camp in Tennessee. So I'll be curious, not that I think college football needs to have foreign investment throughout the sport, but interesting ways to try to get more money to pay the players. You got to check out everything.
You do. You absolutely do. And I think that the thing that I think fans don't need to be paying attention. Fans can pay attention to the game, and they're going to watch in droves. But one of the things that when you talk to people around the sport is that the money grab that's being done by programs to fund NILs is an up-at-dawn siege. It doesn't stop. And one of the pushbacks that I'm hearing when I talk to alumni and people who, or even super fans who want to donate and have the ability to donate, it's are you guys always going to be asking me for money? I just gave some. I got to give more? When's it end? And I think that's kind of the point we're at now, where if you are Big State U, you have to go look for untapped funds because the people you normally tap are about sick of being tapped.
I think I saw something on my email that another one of the schools is open for business on selling naming rights on the field, putting ads on their field. Fans, I just think you can't be precious about stuff like that anymore because you can't grassroots this thing to an extra $40 million a year. $5 at a time from every single fan and $50,000 at a time from the super boosters. There is stuff to sell. This is the second most popular sport in America. So if you have to put patches on jerseys, if you have to sell the names of stadiums, if you have to put patches on fields, that's better than jacking up the ticket prices. That's better than jacking up, your cable subscription or your streaming subscription to pay for it. You're just going to have to be okay with that because they're either going to come to your pockets or they're going to sell everything. And I'd rather have them sell everything and then just pretend the ads aren't there. That's okay. And watch the ball. But they absolutely are going to check every avenue for more cash.
Have to. It's where you are. I have not spoken with you since Ryan Day named Will Howard the starter.
Yep.
What do you make of that? And what do you think Howard can be this year? I guess, and then the other part of that question is, what is the minimum requirement of him this year at Ohio State for them to accomplish what they need to?
Yeah, we did Bill Anderson and I did an hour 45 on Kings of Columbus about Will Howard. And I think there's two, and just a lot of feedback from fans. The fact that he won it convincingly is huge for people. And it's one of those where fans are admitting they were probably overconfident last year because it was sort of I trust Ryan Day. I trust the process. This guy's a quarterback whisperer. They have two good options. It'll be fine. And then it wasn't up to the Ohio State standard. So then the result is now your inclination is to be more worried. Okay, it didn't work out last year. Now I'm worried. But actually, maybe this year, because he won convincingly, because Will Howard's played big games before, maybe you should be more relaxed about this year. So just the fact that somebody won it matters. And I think that, again, the process of Ryan Day with Chip Kelly by his side, Ryan Day not having to be doing everything at once, I think the decision and the process was better. And the fact that it seems like Will had a good camp and took it, you just wanted somebody to take it this year after the way it played out last year. So I think that is a very good sign for Ohio State, and I think the fans are feeling that.
I picked that up as well, same as you. And listen to that press conference when he named it, it was first of all, it was as soon as he'd ever named it, even before CJ, but then also the standpoint of it's clear separation. Like, this is Will Howard's team, and then other guys will play when games are in hand, and that's a very different tone. Here's some numbers I wrote down, and I kind of took J.T. Barrett's senior year and kind of played around with it a little bit. You tell me if through 12 games this does it. 3,500 yards, 65% completions, 35 touchdowns, 8 picks, 350 on the ground. If that happens, doesn't that work?
Yeah, 100%.
That's it.
Yeah, that absolutely works. I mean, again, I did historically, this is my 20th year covering Ohio State football. I had Will Howard at about like the 13th, 14th, or 15th best opening day starter at quarterback for Ohio State in the 20 years since I've been here, which is 2005.
Oh, that's interesting.
But part of that is 12 of those guys are guys returning. So it's like returning C.J. Stroud, returning Justin Fields, returning J.T. Barrett, returning Troy Smith. You're not going to take Will Howard over them. But then, but that's still so you just make sure you're not expecting C.J. Stroud, Justin Fields, Troy Smith, right? Don't expect that. But it's very likely possibly good enough. And I'll tell you the stat comparison I found, the 2007 stats of Todd Beckman versus the stats of Will Howard last year are very similar. And then Todd Beckman came back in 2008. They got the doors blown off by USC, and they went to Terrell Pryor. So anyway, maybe that's not the comparison that people want. But if you think of Will Howard as Todd Beckman led Ohio State to a national championship game in 2007. He wasn't
also
a Heisman finalist. He wasn't. And then
he was first team all Big Ten, right? First team all Big Ten, and they begged him to come back.
Good enough that year was good enough, right?
Yep.
So, and also the other thing that matters is there's not Trevor Lawrence, there's not Caleb Williams, there's not Bryce Young. There is not quite that superstar quarterback out there that you think, oh, man, does our quarterback play as good as that? I think the quarterback play around the sport is down a little. As Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers are the best guys out there, they don't scare me as much as Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. So that matters, too, because in the comparison, Ohio State is right there, even if it's still not C.J. Stroud.
I couldn't agree with you more. Everyone thinking like Dylan Gabriel's the front runner for the Heisman. I'm not sure Will Howard's that different than Dylan Gabriel, and I think he has more physical tools even. So I'm with you on all that. Next week we will do week 1. It's going to be a scene, buddy. Thanks for your time as always.
Can I do one promotion real quick?
I would love nothing more.
Kings of the North live YouTube show starting next week. We're going live Monday through Thursday, noon to 1:30 on YouTube, talking 28 Northern College football teams, and a live post-game show every Saturday night at 11. Ohio State's definitely in there, but I'm going to West Virginia Penn State next week. I'll be at Cincinnati Pitt the week after. We're talking all Northern football. We'd love some OSU fans to swing by on YouTube and check us out at noon on Monday.
Excellent. Great stuff. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, brother. I'll see you.
All right, Doug Lesmerises, Kings of the North, Kings of Columbus, and the podcast of the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. 3 things on a Friday. Next, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're known for 3 things: games, conversation, and common man yelling about things only he cares about. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Pop quiz. What's the best way to go back to school? With Giant Eagle and Market District, of course. From lunchbox favorites to fun after-school snacks, they make it easy to care for growing minds and stomachs. And with their Deals for School Days program, you'll enjoy savings on thousands of items throughout the store. But don't wait. Featured items are only available at these low prices for a limited time. So stop in and stock up for the ultimate back-to-school pantry. Visit your local Giant Eagle or Market District today.
Tire Discounters announces our latest breakthrough, TD Chat BS. This software allows us to detect untruths, deceptions, and even outright lies. Let's listen in as we call a local car dealer.
Hi, I drive your model of auto or truck. I need servicing.
Oh, that's great. You should always call the dealer for service to make sure your warranty stays intact.
Untruth.
Excuse me?
I can attend at Tire Discounters for all services, even for all manufacturers' scheduled maintenance. Warranty not affected.
But it's only us dealers who really know our own models.
Deception. Tire Discounters ASE technicians are certified experts for all makes and models.
Okay, maybe.
How many dollars do you charge me for? As few as Tire Discounters?
We are not that much more.
Outright lie. Ending call now. Bye.
No,
Adios. Aloha. Hasta la pasta.
Don't miss our Savor the Summer sale, now till Labor Day.
Mega Millions! The Ohio Lottery Mega Millions jackpot is up to $527 million. So I'm shouting it from my rooftop. Go play Mega Millions today. Then help me get down. And don't miss out on the excitement of Keno with 300 draws every day. Pick your numbers. Pick your wagers. Keno is always fun. Your way.
Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
Guess what? Our ugly faces are on YouTube. Search 971 The Fan and watch all your favorite shows. Laptop, phone, tablet, smart TV. We're everywhere. Bring us in the bedroom with you. Yes, The Fan.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. You've heard their name on the radio. You've seen them on TV and possibly have heard about them from a family member or friend. One question always arises. What makes Newman Roofing different from the thousands of other roofing companies out there? Well, the answer is simple. It's a company built around family. With 3 generations of family in the roofing industry, the Newman family has built a reputation on honesty, transparency, and consistency. Family members holding key positions from the office sales to production teams, they strive every day to ensure each customer receives excellent experience and a quality product. And I should know they did my roof and their family did a great job. The Newman family drive to take care of their customers radiates throughout their team. Each team member takes pride in the work that they do. As the Newmans say, when your name is on it, it just means more. If you're in need of a roof repair or replacement, call the company that is built around family. Newman Roofing, 614-NEW-ROOF or newmanroofing.com.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic.
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game.
Yeah, let's go.
That's you taking another sip of your Do the Do.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone here from my friends at Valley Ford of Columbus. Do you have a classic or custom truck or car? Well, good news. You can show it off at Cars and Coffee at Valley Ford of Columbus. There's no entry fee. Just drive in this Saturday. Cars and Coffee starts at 10 a.m. only at Valley Ford of Columbus. This Saturday is the annual F-150 gathering, so bring yours, custom, classic, or stock, and come hang out with other truck and car fans. Food, fun, and fast trucks and cars. It's open to all at the Valley Ford of Columbus Cars and Coffee this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Federal Elite Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
With friends like these, who needs former college football players? This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, Reese, what do you have on the poll?
All right, so the Daily Fan poll is advertised to be a Bo Bishop feather ruffler. Daily Fan poll asks, what is Vince Vaughn's best movie? Your options are Dodgeball, Old School, Wedding Crashers, Other.
Well, the answer, Swingers, is his best because he's a force of nature in Swingers, and he was so good in Swingers that with seeing the rough cut of Swingers, they said we need to put him in Jurassic Park. That's how big of a star Swingers was. I want to say it was Spielberg who did it, who saw the rough cuts of Swingers and went, he's got to go in. He's that great. So Swingers is the correct answer. The other thing that's wrong with this is I don't think Old School is a Vince Vaughn vehicle.
I don't see it as that.
No, it's not really any of those guys' movies. You know what I mean? Like, there's.
Who would you say it is, though? If you're going to assign, to me, it's a Luke Wilson, Ferrell, and Will Ferrell are like the
two leads. I would say, yeah, I think that's fair because they're the ones that you also get like so much with like what's going on in their personal lives and the two different routes the two guys have kind of taken as they've aged. Yeah, it's not a Vince Vaughn movie. My favorite of that list is Dodgeball. But I can totally get behind that, like, Wedding Crashers is a better Vince Vaughn performance, and I love that movie, too. I just have a soft spot for Dodgeball. I went to it, first PG-13 movie I ever saw in theaters, and I was only 12. Got right past them.
I made this case before. From crab cakes and football, this is what Maryland does until the painting was a gift, Todd. It's about an hour and 5 minutes. That is straight banger. There's not, the only miss is they go on the bikes one time, but if that's not in there, it's one bit after another for an hour straight. There's not a hole in it.
I think people forget because the Will Ferrell part is so great, but the third act of that movie is kind of boring.
Yeah,
it's not that great.
No, it is. Yeah, and it's kind of dark. Yeah, no, it's not. It's just the Farrell saves it at the end, and that's kind of it. But that stretch is unbelievable. All right, 3 things on a Friday.
1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Custom Air. Custom Air. Custom Solutions. Custom Comfort.
Boy, we're going to have to hustle to get through all 3. Number 1, I found the one thing that Buddy Garrity will not eat if I offer it to him. Lemons and limes. Won't touch them, won't smell them. I tried throwing it to him, it bounced off his nose.
I've got a few things that wrap into stories we talked about. We talked about, did you lay out your clothes for the first day of school?
Yeah.
Back when it was summer was coming to an end. And yes, I definitely did that. And even to the point where as I picked out this shirt to wear for my Centerville, my Pride in the Black and Gold shirt, it is at least 16 years old because I remember specifically wearing it to my first day in 9th grade. This 16-year-old T-shirt back on my back. I'm pretty excited about that. But it's also nice because now my high school Elks gear fits again, and it didn't for a while.
It's good gear.
I've got one shirt that I still wear, but it's got holes and covered in paint. And it is it's one of the shirts. I mean, I don't really dress too formal when I go to work anyway, but that shirt would definitely not be office appropriate.
Number 2 for me. All right. The amount of hoops that I had to jump through to coach CYO flag football for Bootsy, it was hours of online videos and to get certified. It was nuts. I guess I forgot doing it in 2020 because that was the last time I coached CYO flag, and it was in COVID, and maybe I just had more time. But this is why there aren't enough coaches out there. Part of it because of how hard it is to just get certified to coach, and it should be hard to coach. But my God, 5 hours is a long time.
It's like onboarding to a new job.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, well, you still have your old job.
Crazy.
Second one for me, I mentioned this week that Kit, the dog, obsessed with the neighbor's cat who sometimes gets into our backyard. Also, I like the white tank top undershirt as well. So these both combine into it. Today, Kit's going crazy. It's 6:25 in the morning. She's just barking up a storm. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, maybe the cat's out there. So I let her out. She runs into the backyard. No, she goes to the back fence line. What's she doing? She's looking up. Her and Buddy Garrity would get along really well. What's she barking at? A raccoon on the power line. I mentioned the above ground power lines this week. So this story all comes together with things that we're talking about. I have to go out in just my pants and my white tank top.
You're like Soprano.
Yeah, it's 6:30 in the morning trying to grab the cat. I try to throw a stick at the raccoon to see if he would move. Nope. He's just posted up there. He's fine up on the wire, and Kit just could not let it go.
Second thing for me, Tyvis Powell is back for the Saturday Spectacular tomorrow from 10 to 1. Week 0, college football, baby.
Let's go. This third one will be for all of us. If you're on the fence, and even if you don't have any connection about what to do on a Friday night, go see your local high school football team play. You will be reminded of how great community can be in this country by doing so. And check out Bake and the guys tonight on the post game as well. Enjoy week 0. Enjoy your Friday night lights. We are back Monday, and it will be game week. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
News, opinions, and insight, all before breakfast. Rise and shine with Morning Juice.
Weekdays starting at 6.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. This is a Fan Action Update.
8 of the last 9 years, the national championship team in college football had single-digit odds in the preseason to win it all. 2017, Alabama was the last team in college football to be the preseason betting favorite and then go on to win it all. Currently, 4 teams have single-digit odds to win the national championship this year, including Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas. For your Action Update, I'm Scotty Vegas.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, you can get up to $1,500 off select appliances from top brands like LG, America's most reliable line of appliances, like the LG Smart Top Load Washer with easy unload angled front, so you can reach every last sock. Right now, get up to $1,500 off select appliances in-store and online with Labor Day savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid August 22nd through September 11th. U.S. only. See store online for details. America's most reliable line of appliances per independent study.
I can't believe tax season is here already. But look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Bob's Discount Furniture is coming to Polaris, and Bob's Discount Furniture wants you to win big this football season. It's easy. Get online and go to 971thefan.com to register to win a $1,000 gift card to Bob's Discount Furniture, so you can watch your favorite football team sitting in your new Bob's recliner or couch this season. Wow. That's $1,000 from Bob's Discount Furniture. All you have to do is register to win on the fans contest page at 971thefan.com. Hurry, contest ends Wednesday, August 28th. See complete contest details online at 971thefan.com.
This is Paul Keels for Nature Stone Flooring, a unique blend of natural stone and their specially formulated epoxy expertly installed over existing concrete. Nature Stone is the only flooring solution for garages, basements, and indoor spaces. Family owned and operated since 1989, no other company or product can match the features, benefits, and unconditional warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor. Visit naturestone.com today and schedule your cost estimate. Act now and save up to 50% off any Nature Stone floor. It's not just a floor.